Perfect time to crack a beer, sir. Yep. I'm going to actually crack myself one here shortly.
Woo, cheers.
Cheers, cheers. And let's see. So we're started up, and I've got my boys here. We are doing the welcome back to the channel, by the way, and we are doing the Metal Tag 2025 tonight. And for those of you who don't know what the Metal Tag is, essentially, like all the YouTubers every year, try to take part in this, and usually somebody in the community starts up the topic for the year, and essentially it's a list of questions, usually about 20 questions, randomly kind of surrounding your collection, and just kind of giving you something fun to kind of sort of play a game with, and pull things out of your collection that meets the criteria of the question. So, yeah, I think, it's probably been going on for a while. I think the Rock Scout did it last year. So, Marty and Alan over at Metallurgy, Heavy Metallurgy channel, kicked this one off this year, and actually came up with a pretty interesting questions on this one. I don't know if they actually came up. I'm assuming they came up with the questions on this. But anyway, with that said, I'd like to welcome my esteemed guests. First time on my stream here over here is Logan, Metal and Beer Snob. Welcome, sir.
Cheers. Wait, really?
Yeah, this is new territory for me. I've never been around these parts before. So
yeah, it's like a new corner of the internet.
Yeah, the Colorado internet. It's
there you go.
The air is so clean over here. It's crazy.
Yep, and I'm sure everybody knows. I'm sure everybody knows Logan, but obviously Metal and Beer Snob YouTube channel, and also one of the metallurgists and one of the new panelists. It's great to see you over there on the channel, man. I think you've been a great addition to the group over there. And you guys are doing your metal album clubs on Wednesday nights, and you're partaking in some of the other Friday night streams that those guys do. They do a great job. So good to see you over there, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks. It's been awesome being able to do it. So appreciate that.
Yeah. And then, of course, returning guest as always, my boy Tyler from the far, far north. Alaskan Bergwanderer on YouTube, and you guys, if you come to my channel, you obviously know Tyler. So, welcome back, sir. It's kind of good to see you again for a stream that's not 6 to 8 months later, right?
Oh, right. No, feels good.
Yeah. My streams are kind of few and far between. So, but try to make it count when we do it. So, anyway, glad you guys are here. So, let's just get right into it. The Heavy Metallurgy Metal Tag 2025. So we're just going to go round table on this stuff, show you guys some cool things from the collection. Hope you find some new stuff to check out if you haven't heard it before. I definitely tried to dig as far as I could on some of these questions. I'm sure you guys did as well. So I'll go ahead and get us kicked off with question number 1. This is the hype question. Name a release you're eagerly anticipating in 2025. Man, so there's a lot that I could have chose from on this because I do anticipate quite a few records this year, but I did see this being talked about on the Metallurgy Discord site, but Moon Sorrow. And I don't know if they actually are going to be releasing a record this year, but it's been 9 years, guys. Hopefully, I know that they've been working on one. There's not any announcements or anything, but people that know the band know that they have been working on something. So the hope is that they're going to release something this year. This is excellent Finnish sort of folk black metal band, really one of the finest of the genre, in my opinion. And this is the Back to North box set that came out. Let me blow myself up. And this came out on Hammerheart, I believe, Hammerheart Records. It has it doesn't have the first record, but records 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as the EP that they released. Really, to me, this is the finest work of the band. I mean, but honestly, anything that they do is great. They have 2 records past this, which were excellent as well. The last record being Jumalton Ica, if I can pronounce that correctly, in English, is was released in like 2014 or something like that. So it's been a while, but this is just a bunch of digipack versions of those albums, and these are kind of hard to find, actually, like just like the old pressings. So any of you guys are into Moon Sorrow, you want to get knock everything out in one, fell swoop, or at least most of it. And the really, in my opinion, the best albums of the band in here.
Yeah.
You can probably pick this up still on Hammerheart Records. Yeah, Devin, I knew you had this. But great band. I really hope that we're going to see something from them this year. So Moon Sorrow. All right.
Yeah, I was jamming. Kaivan Kantaja. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Was I close? There we go. Yesterday. It was.
Oh, I always pronounce it Kevin Kantaha.
Well, whatever you say goes, Tyler, because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's
there's
my favorite.
Yeah, I would say between that and Verisakit and 5 Haveati, those 3 are just all really hard to pick a favorite. I really dig 5 Haveati, I guess. It's just like 2 tracks. Each track is like 30 minutes, and it's just really they make it work because it's just a slow build throughout the whole thing, and it's just really excellent. Goes by really fast, but yeah, I think all the Finnish stuff, the J's are pronounced silent, maybe. So the latest one was Jumaltin Aika, maybe, but I don't know. I can't speak Finnish, but great band.
Likewise.
Hope to see something from them. All right, Logan, what you got up for this question?
So for me, actually, kind of similar to your Moon Sorrow pick. It's been the same amount of years since their last release, and it's not officially been announced, but I think there's talk enough to believe there might be an album this year. Gorguts. Let's see if we can get a new Gorguts album. So this is the last thing they released, 2016, Pleiades Dust, killer 30-minute long EP. And supposedly, this is what I heard, Lux said that they weren't going to perform another, live gig until the album was done. Sure enough, they're performing, Northwest Terror Fest in May, I believe. That can only mean one thing: the album's done. We're ready. Let's see it. I could use some new Gorguts. It's got Colored Sands is probably one of my favorite albums of like the 2010s or really of the 20th century. So 21st century. But I could really go for some new Gorguts. So hoping that happens this year, and then sneaking in another one, Warflurch. If we get some more Warflurch, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that Warflurch record was killer. I hope they. I think didn't the whole band leave? It's just like one dude now, and
just the main Papa Flurch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Gorguts is going to be. I don't want to say I'm pretty sure, but I won't.
Jeff is raining on my parade already.
Is he? Where's he at?
What's up, Jeff?
There he is. What's up, dude? Everybody, Rick, Devin, Kellen, Marty,
Gang,
what's up, fellas? Russ, good to see everybody. Yeah, for sure. I do remember when we saw Gorguts at MDF. I think Luke might have told Jeff that they already had it ready and they were going to be recording soon. So I think we'll definitely be seeing that. Very excited as well for that. All right, Tyler, what did you pick for this one?
So I got 3, but one I'll actually show. But so one I'm looking forward to in 2025 because I thought it was going to come out into 2024. If you guys are familiar with any of the bands that the dude Taurus has, so that's Fellwinter, Athiosophia, Arbor. He's got a list of bands, but the Athiosophia is probably my favorite of those projects, and that should be coming out at some point very soon. And then I got my boys in my former bandmates in Rubizol. Their album should be finished up real soon, and I think that'll be coming out this year. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also I saw a post that this guy, Byrne, he just finished up guitar tracks for a new album to come out this year. And this just came out last year. This is on my 2024, like deep in my 2024 list. So dude's not messing around. He's pumping out material, but I like this dude's take on pagan metal. So, we're talking about Moon Sorrow. Like, you can kind of put this in a similar-ish category as Moon Sorrow. Just that kind of epic, wintry metal. And actually, I was on Rick's channel, or not Rick. I can't remember which channel I was on, but I was talking about this album, and it was Brian. It was Brian's channel, and I was saying that this album is like a very simplistic, like a very, very simplistic early Winter Sun, and just how they use the synths and how they use the riffs to kind of set up that real cold atmosphere. Like, he doesn't beat you over the head with like complex riffs. It's just everything's catchy and it's good stuff. But yeah, he should be having a new album coming out at some point this year. So this is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most of those three I mentioned, even above my Rubizol boys.
That's not the one you showed last year, was it? Or is that?
No, that was the album before that. He released an album in 2023. He released an album this last year, and he's going to release an album this year.
Nice.
So, oh shit! What's up, Than?
Hey, Than. How you doing, bud? A bunch of people say hello to in the chat here. Yeah, guys, thanks for jumping on. Yeah, he's saying that Gorguts might be a little bit. I forgot about Kevin's fire. I totally forgot about that. Hope the guy's doing all right. That's a bummer. All right. Yeah. All right. Show the 25th item in your collection, LP, CD, or your choice, number 2. And let's see. Mine, actually, I was going to pick a vinyl, but my vinyl was another pick I had for one of my other questions. So I went ahead and picked a CD for this one. Let's see, where is it at? Yeah, 25th CD in my collection is Agalox, the White EP. And this is the first pressing I think they did on, got the name of the label, but still got the Vendulous, short-lived label. Sorry for the glare. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite Agalox. Really can't go wrong with the White EP. Just good neo-folk Agalocky goodness. Excellent band. What you got, Logan?
Dude, all right. So 25th. So first, I feel like this question is almost a little bit of a flex for like the size of the CD collection. They're like 25 CDs in, and they're still like A, B, like Abscess or something in their collection. So I'm at AF over here, and this is me losing my metal cred, but we got AFI All Hallows EP is the 25th pick for the CDs. I'm a big AFI fan up to a point, and that point would be December Underground for sure. This is the best thing they've done. This is total Misfits worship and so much energy, very catchy, really just great for the fall season. I play this every year nonstop between like September and Halloween, basically. So a must own for me, but that could just be me. And then real quick, for vinyl, this is my 25th vinyl. I wanted to get my metal cred back. Black Breath, Sentence to Life. Definitely a bit more straightforward, like death metal with that hardcore, like kind of influence. Great band, great album. Want to mention them real quick. I miss these guys. I wish they'd come back. This is some cool like death and roll stuff right here, and some of their best songs is on this album.
Forgot about that band.
Yeah, it's been about I think a decade since their last album, 2015, I believe.
So that
yep.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say that AFI. That's that was around the era of like the Black Sails, right?
Yes, yeah, I think it was right in between Black Sails and Prayer for Drowning, I think.
Yeah, something like that. That's the era of AFI I like.
Dude, it's fun. They had the energy and were pretty pissed off for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys have multiple for these questions, feel free to show them. I think I picked a couple of them.
There are indeed a couple.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
This one I just picked one because so you can kind of see like over here on this side, you can see these shelves. So the first couple shelves are actually when I first moved into this room. and those are boxes I unloaded. So those are actually in some kind of order. So I actually have a legit 25th pick, in some kind of order. And that's the repress of the old Ancient album that Glenty Rekit. And this is when they were still very much traditional Nordic black metal before they jumped the shark and started putting out Canian Chronicles and I can't remember something Blood Fiends or something like that was like really bad after that. But this is still like the really good, like traditional Nordic Scandinavian black metal, a little bit of synth action. I haven't spun this in a really, really long time, but yeah, this is the old Hammerheart records. And notice that they do a cover of Sweet Leaf on here. I don't remember if it's good or not. I don't think it was. But all the other songs that are on here are pretty freaking awesome, though. Yeah, Canian Chronicles wasn't bad, but they quickly dropped off right after that, I think.
I didn't even know they were good once, because I must have just heard the later stuff like Devin's talking about here.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that later. Well, the guy moved to the U.S. and then he had Kimberly Goss in the band for a while. The gal that was dating Lexi Liho, or I think she was married to him, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, she was doing like, she was trying to do the Sarah Jezebel thing and doing the keyboards and doing the female vocals, and she fucking sucks, dude. It's so bad. But she got in, and like she was in all these different projects, and she was on a couple of the Ancient albums, actually. But yeah, the main dude from Ancient actually moved to the U.S. And Canian Chronicles is the album he put together with like basically a U.S. lineup. Yeah, Synergy sucked too. Music was good. Her vocals were trash.
Yeah, I remember her. She was kind of big when she was dating the Bodum guy, and Bodum was pretty big at the time. Yeah, Alexei. Yep. They were a big Bodum guy. I mean, I like some of their stuff, and they were a good band for sure.
But yeah, I remember that Synergy album. I was like, because it's like, oh, featuring members of Children of Bottom, and I was like, oh, cool. So I listened to it, and musically, you're like, yeah. And then she opens her mouth, starts singing, and you're like, no.
Nope.
And done.
All right, number 3, Overdue. Name an older band that you checked out for the first time in 2024 and loved. So this was pretty easy for me, having gone to Maryland Death Fest this last year. Kind of the cool thing about going to the Death Fest is you end up checking out bands that you don't really know or aren't too familiar with. I was familiar with this band. I just never really gave them their due. And my buddy Than, who's in the chat there, I think we were at a record store probably a year before that when he was in town, and just so happened to notice that this had gotten repressed, and I was like, hey, I know you're a big fan of this band. Is this the one to get? And he was like, yeah, that's the one to get. So I picked this up and I listened to it, definitely liked it, and probably didn't listen to it enough and shelved it for a bit, and then MDF was coming up. But Forbidden, Twisted into Form, and also I would say their newer one, the Omega Wave, which is one I've probably listened to more, but this is kind of one of their most famous ones. And having gotten to see that at MDF, the cool thing is like any of the thrash bands that MDF picks are always going to be great. You always want to make sure you go and see them. And Forbidden was just awesome. I mean, it really ended up being one of my favorite sets of the whole festival, just because they just stood out, just had so much energy. And the singer is not with them anymore. They had a new guy with them, and they had Craig Contos on drums, and Steve, I think was it Steve Smythe was playing guitar. I can't remember. I know he's not with the band anymore, and Chewy from Voivod ended up joining the band. So supposedly they're gonna record something new soon, but I don't know, man. This is one of those thrash bands that I kind of really missed out on my early days, when I was really a lot more into thrash than I am these days. But I don't know. I just think they're kind of special. They've got the riffs, the songs, just really high energetic stuff, and very melodic too, which is always a plus for me. But yeah, it was cool to to check out Craig Cicero on Jeff's channel, and he's kind of friends with him. And yeah, dude, just great band. They were really awesome at the MDF. But I've been enjoying it's really just been this album, Omega Wave, and the first album that I've got. I know they did a couple later records that were kind of like more supposedly like new metalish, I guess. I'm not really too familiar with, but yeah, great band. And yeah, that's an old school one that I just missed out on early on.
Nice. Yeah. I actually still need to check them out. So
yeah, I mean, if you like thrash,
maybe that could be me next year. Yeah.
I'd put them like kind of in the Testament sort of realm, where Testament's like thrash, but they had a really good melodic edge to them as well. And just really aggressive, but not that they really sound just like Testament or anything, but it's kind of, yeah, really good stuff. Definitely worth your time.
And that's the album.
That's the one. That's what they said. I mean, that's what I know. Dan's like a huge fan. He says Twisted in the Form. I'm sure Jeff would probably agree as well. But if you want to hear a little bit more modern take on them, I'd say Omega Wave, which was the last one they put out, and that album's killer. That's really good.
Sick. All
right. Logan.
So for me, this would be a band that I think all of this section of metal YouTube kind of helped get me into. I'd say first, there was a stream we did on Jeff's Gas Mask and Hand Grenades channel about everyone's 10 favorite all-time heavy metal, band albums, and this band kept coming up over and over again. Omen, and then Brian Arkham. You guys remember that guy? Mm-hmm. He actually sent me their debut, Battle Cry. And
dude,
the final ultimate nail in the coffin was reviewing Warning of Danger on Heavy Metallurgy back in like September or so, and I'm sold. Omen's awesome. I'm head over heels for him, and I only have this one. I need to track down Warning of Danger, but I listened to those albums back to back, probably at least every other week, I would say, and it was something that I think I was missing. This is just some epic heavy metal, like. I don't know if people would put them in the power metal, like the U.S. power metal vein, but I just hear just epic fist pumping, beer chugging, heavy metal, like motorcycle riding, but with like a little bit of a fantasy Man of War aesthetic without the cheesiness. This sounds legit, and it's like JD Kimball's vocals are phenomenal. On this album specifically, tracks like The Axeman, Be My Winch, Die by the Blade, and Bring Out the Beast are just anthems for sure. And I think a lot of it, they really hit an emotional tenor at times too. So yeah, thank you, Marty. And everyone else I mentioned too. So Omen has been a must-have, and I'll track down at least the next two albums in their discography. I will have to seek guidance after that, but
yeah, Be My Wench is enough to get me to check it out.
Yeah. It's got quite a hook, that song.
Great song title. Good
it's
pick.
A love song.
It's a love song.
Yeah, one of my buddies growing up was real big into those first couple of Omen albums, so I listened to it at his house a lot. Good stuff.
So what'd you pick for this one, Tyler?
So actually, I don't have a physical thing to show, but I got a little backstory. So once upon a time, 1989, that was the first time I saw the video for Black Sabbath's The Headless Cross. Really like that song, but later that evening on that same Headbangers Ball episode I watched, that was the debut for Metallica's One video, and I caught the thrash bug with that as a third grader. Wanted to play drums, all before forgot about that Black Sabbath. And recently, I don't know why, but I decided I had the Headless Cross stuck in my head, so I went down the rabbit hole of the Tony Martin era Black Sabbath. And I was fucking kicking myself. I was like I should have been owning these for like the last 30 plus years. I should have had these in my collection. So I'm getting all the Tony Martin Black Sabbath stuff coming to me. Not here yet, but and just last year they had the Iommi remasters or whatever of all those albums, and so I'm getting the better sounding quality stuff. But yeah, I totally because Metallica put that thrash bug in me back in 1989. I totally just put that era of Black Sabbath to sleep. And yeah, pure heavy metal. I know you're talking about Omen, but yeah, that era of Black Sabbath was also just pure heavy metal too.
There's so many different eras of Black Sabbath. That is one I have not gotten into yet. So
man, I tell you what, dude, like that, because I was like, man, I remember that song being fucking killing. I was listening to it, and I was like, well, yeah, this guy is like, he's like the spiritual successor to Dio. I know they had Ian Gillan, in between Dio and Tony Martin, but he has that similar kind of bravado to his voice. And yeah, like I was even listening to like Forbidden, like the one, basically the album that had like the real cheeseball fucking covers for Black Sabbath. And I was just like, it's like, speaking of like bad album art with good albums, like there's a couple of those in that era that would fit that criteria. But yeah, the Tony Martin era, Black Sabbath, slept on it for far, far, far too long. I am righting my wrong.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were led to believe that era was like not worthy, and that's probably why I never checked it out. And
it's because, from reading, reading up more on it, especially the Headless Cross specifically, like that was one of those albums was supposed to be like the early Tony Iommi like solo album.
That is actually what I heard too.
It wasn't supposed to be. That's why Geezer Butler wasn't on that album. It wasn't supposed to be a Black Sabbath album, but the label was like, well, no one's going to buy it with your name. It has to have the Black Sabbath name on it. And also, thinking about 1989, that was kind of the early rumblings of like the grunge scene and that whole movement, right?
I think that's what it was.
But to get back to what Rick was saying, he's like, yeah, same day to compare Cozy Powell versus Lars drumming. Well, I tell you what, as an impressionable like third grader, the one video for an 8-minute video, like 6 minutes of it was Lars's drum kit. And I was like, I want to do that. And it was a lot of shots of him drumming. I was like, I want to do that. Like the Headless Cross video had like, just a couple shots of Cozy Powell kind of playing along. Like, it wasn't synced up right, but yeah, Cozy Powell's like a way better drummer, obviously. But that was the impression it made, that big white and black Hama kit of Lars Ulrich back at that time. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I bucked my parents for 3 years after that, and they got me in the school band finally.
Yeah, that was the kid with the bottom heads were like, pure black.
Yeah,
like
white.
Yeah.
He had the coated like emperors on the bottom heads. So
cool. A lot of people seem to like that. Yeah, I remember you were talking about that in our string. I need to revisit that era as well. Well, I need to check out that era. I don't even think I've ever even given the time of day to anything past the Dio years. Yeah.
Like I said, those 2024 remasters, like that's the way to check those out, man. The sound's huge, and it actually has some really, really great Iommi riffs. Probably has some of his best riffs.
Yeah, the one thing about that Forbidden album, it's got the Ice-T spotlight. It doesn't tank the whole album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see here. Feeding the Monkey. How do you purchase most of your music? Local store, Bandcamp, specific online sites? Yeah. For me, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question. I'm sure everybody's kind of the same, that, man, it's wherever anything good is, I guess. I mean, these days I order more stuff more than I do go to the record store. I try in Colorado Springs, where I live, there's literally one good record store, and they're actually not far from me. And I try to go there when I can, and they're cool. because Dark Descent is in Colorado Springs. They've got a Dark Descent section, and they're kind of like punk and metal. So they, whenever they get stuff, I try to go there. And sometimes they'll get like a big collection that they auction somewhere, and they'll have all kinds of good shit. So I try to, for stuff like that, I try to keep up on their Instagram and see what they've got going for that stuff. But for the most part, I mean, for me, I'm just ordering things. I get a lot of shit on Amazon, really. I mean, just when it comes to CDs, I can get on there quick and, for Prime, easy price for shipping these days. If I'm going to get the CD, if I can get it on Amazon, I'll just do it there. I know that's shitty. I mean, I should be supporting labels and things like that. But, when you buy as much stuff as we do, you end up just kind of just go with what makes the most sense, and sometimes that's really it. But yeah, I mean, I try to go with the labels as well. I mean, I like color vinyl, so I like, when there's a cool color variant, I try to go with it. I like labels like $20 spin, and all the bigger labels, obviously, that do cool pressings like that. I always really dig. So for me, like, as far as like vinyl goes, I'm trying to get to a point to where vinyl is really just stuff that I really, really love. I'll get stuff like, pre-order things, and if I don't like it so much, I'll sell it on Discogs for the same price usually. And that's kind of given me a good like way to like finance further releases and give me the the feel good mindset that if I blind buy something and I don't love it, knowing that I could sell it, and somebody that wants it for the same price, I can do so. And usually it'll probably be a couple of bucks less than I bought for it, because Discogs, these days is taking like 9% off your sale. But yeah, so I especially going forward right now, I'm trying to stick to more CDs these days. And but yeah, I mean, when up in Denver has some great record stores. If I'm out of town, I always try to check out the record stores, always check out the used bin sections and try and see what I can find. And yeah, it's always kind of a search, it's always just trying to find the best prices for things that you can get. I still buy tapes occasionally. Cassettes are usually kind of more nostalgic kind of stuff for me, but I like to, if I find like old stuff from the 90s, I usually like to buy that stuff too. But yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag for me as far as how I acquire physical media. What about you, Logan?
For me, I think I kind of do share your sentiments with Amazon a little bit. It also helps if you have one of those credit cards. You get the points, you get the free Amazon credits. So I'm a sneaky bastard. I accumulate the points buying stuff that we actually need for surviving, like cat litter and air vents or whatever, and then all the points I'll just buy mine. That's how I'll get some of like the bigger label like Century Media, Nuclear Blast, $20 spin CDs is through that. But for me, it's all about the local record stores. I don't know. There's not something about just thumbing through a used bin or a new arrival section and just finding what you've been looking for, and just the rush that comes with that. Like, it's an event for me. It's what I do for fun. If you give me like a free afternoon, boom, that's what we're doing. We're going to a local record store and thumbing through that, and then going to a brewery after to celebrate the haul. And the other reason I like that so much is when you're visiting other cities and stuff, the record stores, they feel different from place to place. Like a record store out in Denver is not going to be the same as it is here in New Orleans. And I was just up in Charlotte, North Carolina over the holiday and found some good deals there that I'm a show real quick that I would not have picked up if not for finding it in a record store. Finally got this Marduk album, Marduk, or which do not like how they did the coloring on the sleeve. You can barely see the thing. Heaven Shall Burn, not the metalcore band, but When We Are Gathered. So this is that blistering Marduk. I think this is my favorite era of Marduk. This the album before this one through like Nightwing.
Oh, dude,
That's Nocturne.
Yeah. Those of the Unlight too. If I gotta mention that one. And then
that album that has that Darkness It Shall Be. Like, holy shit, dude! Like, You should
Yes,
you should open up the lyric booklet and see how many lyrics are crammed into like that 4.5 minute song. Like Legion is going the fuck off on that song.
dude.
Like he
Later
sings
on, I'm
fast in that song.
because this is like also a 30-minute album. It's blistering with and intense, and then you get cool records too. I'm a big sludge guy, and Chicago sludge, Indian. This is their debut. Unquiet Sky, like $12 used. So I love when you have these record stores where you know that they have the deals. You can go to them and kind of know what to expect. So this is my Lunchbox Records in Charlotte, North Carolina Hall. So record stores all the way for me.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have much for record stores up here anymore. There is one store in Anchorage that I've actually never set foot into because they're vinyl exclusive. And I have seen updates on their page. They're called Obsession Records. And I've seen updates on their page, and I'm actually surprised at some of the metal stuff they bring in. So it makes me wonder which of my friends are going in there and putting bugs in their ears to bring stuff in. They get some pretty dank black metal sometimes, and I was like, wow, that's pretty surprising. But anyway, so with that, I'm a Bandcamp whore. Buy a lot of stuff on Bandcamp, both digital and physical. I'm a really big advocate of the metal detector. For those of you who are not familiar with that, that is danger zone for your wallet, because you will find not only will you find albums you're looking for, you will find a lot of cool shops and distros that you didn't know existed, and you will find more cool shit, and you will spend a lot of money. And I can attest to that. And then but yeah, mainly for me, Bandcamp, and then a lot of online distros and labels, and even a lot of European ones. There's a few European ones I like to hit because the shipping actually isn't atrocious, and you can get pretty cheap CDs, mainly out of Poland. But
yeah, that's a good point, because the European label, I mean, especially a lot of stuff you get, I mean, you really can't get it anywhere else. I mean, even occasionally you might find stuff at some of the distros here, like Hell's Headbangers or whatever. But, like a lot of that stuff, man, it's like, especially a couple ones I'm going to show later that you introduced me to, it's like, that's the only place you can find it.
Yeah. Well, shit, recently is like, I've gone down the rabbit hole of the Zero Dimensional Records, and they house like a couple different other labels under the umbrella, but it's actually a Japanese label, and that was the only place to get the last what's the name of the band? Asgrau. They're the Dutch band, like ASGRAUW. Like their last couple albums were exclusively on vinyl everywhere but Japan. Japan they were selling CDs, and I was like, these motherfuckers hiding that shit from me. And then shipping from Japan is fast, and it's actually not that expensive, shockingly enough. So,
well, in Alaska, you're almost like
it's kind of a straight shot.
Like the next landmass for you.
Yeah, I mean, the international airport in Anchorage is one of the busiest international hubs in the world. So, for mail, for mainly for like mail and packages.
Oh, okay. About to say, like, Atlanta's pretty busy too, but
yeah, Denver's pretty busy as well.
It's no Anchorage.
Yeah. But no, they're just talking about strictly for like as far as mail goes. That's like one of the biggest like UPS and FedEx hubs is right here right there in Anchorage, just because of where they're located.
Yeah, I'll put the the link for the metal detector if anybody doesn't know that site. I forgot about that, Tyler, but yeah, that's and it's detector with a K.
Yes.
And that's really when you're looking for stuff. I mean, if you want to, especially if you're here in the US, you want to find
it's all North American shops and distros. So there's a couple that'll pull up from Canada too. So be forewarned.
Hey, what's going on, Wyatt? Good to see you, bro. All right. Where are we at? Okay. Enigma, show a heavy metal album that musically is really hard to place in heavy metal subgenre. Quite a few I could have put in this category, but I figured I just saw these guys live recently, and I always want to give them props. Denver band. would be Dreadnoughts. This is their second record, Bridging Realms, and like I said, Denver band, really awesome. They're really hard to classify what they are. I mean, it's kind of it has sort of like a black metal backbone, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. Very ethereal, kind of dreamy, sort of. I don't want to say like shoegaze, but like they throw a little bit of jazz in there. Just a little, just kind of like, I guess more. I really don't want to say Tool, but it's like they have kind of a similar effect to kind of what Tool does, like on later stuff, where it kind of just has this sort of, plodding, dreamy kind of effect to it. But I mean, definitely, I mean, I guess the closest thing I would say is black metal. Essentially 2 guitar players, bass and drums, but the singer, female, Kelly, who is Shane's wife from Wayfarer, she also will break out a flute every now and then and do like some flute stuff. And the drummer will break out a saxophone every now and then. He hasn't really done that on the later stuff. It's they've been kind of moving away from that, but a lot of more black metal shrieky vocals along with these just sort of ethereal female vocals. Really, really kind of hard to classify, but excellent band. They've been releasing records pretty regularly. Just saw them play at the Decibel Fest here in Denver in December, and they're just killer band as ever. But yeah, I mean, I would say like their black metal is kind of more like, I guess sort of like Wolves in the Throne Room kind of influence in there, stuff like that. But yeah, really killer band from Denver. They always seem to kind of go under the radar. They kind of deserve a lot more than they get, and maybe that's why, because they're just so hard to classify that they don't really get really pulled into any sort of subgenre. And so as a result, they're on Profound Lore at this point, so they do get a fairly good bit of press. But excellent band, Dreadnought. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually just got a CD of theirs. Green is the album cover. It's awesome.
That's their new one, I think. The Endless. Yeah.
Yes, the Endless. That's it.
Yeah, good shit. Is this the Rollin' Rock pick or?
This is the Rollin' Rock. It's a Thursday night. It's a work night. We gotta pace ourselves here. It's not Friday or nothing. But real quick, James mentioned it. Let's just pay tribute, to Mr. David Lynch.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I hope everyone hears the theme song in their head right now.
Dude, that theme song is so good. Classic.
It's beautiful with the opening and stuff, or with the visuals too. The waterfall, the bird. Great. Yeah. Rest in peace. Enigma, a unclassifiable heavy metal album. So I'm picking this band because I basically snubbed them for my year-end list, and I like this band, but for whatever reason, their most recent one, I checked it out and was like, man, this is good, and then just never returned to it and kind of ignored it when it came to year-end list season. And that's Shamish, Skamash, Shamish, however you want to pronounce it. This is the first one in the series that they released this year. The Maldor Chance. This is the EP. It's like 36 minutes. Hermaphrodite, and the new one is about the ocean or something. I don't know, but I liked it. But this one really clicked with me when I heard it back in 2016 or 2017, and it's definitely hard to describe. Like, they're very ritualistic, very atmospheric. They definitely have black metal elements, but at the same time, there's goth, and they sound like what band am I thinking of? I should know off the top of my head. They did the world music band. But they have world music elements and stuff too. So I definitely like this band, and kind of was just bummed that I did not really listen to their latest one enough, and wanted to mention that I don't know where I put them. And they're one of the reasons why my collection is not divided up by subgenres. That is a headache. Just throw it all together. If I had to, stress out over, is this death metal? Is this black metal? Is this goth? It would, it'd drive me crazy. So keep it all in one. But Shamish.
Was that Dead Can Dance you're thinking of?
Dead Can Dance. Thank you. It's this green beer.
Yeah. It's a high alcohol content.
Yeah, very,
so
yeah.
be careful.
4.2.
Oh, what the whoop.
Yep.
Had a little splash here, but spilled a little bit of my beer. Anyway, so let's see. My pick for this one is I still don't know how I feel about this band. I've gotten all their albums so far, but Astral Spectre. You guys check these guys out?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Looks
So
cool.
cover
cover.
screams like cover screams kind of stoner-ish or like 70s rock, but it's more like classic heavy metal with like Tom Angel Ripper on vocals. It's like Hallis with like an aggressive singer, and it's like they're classified as like heavy metal / black metal, and it's like okay, yeah, I guess, but it doesn't really sit in either one of those genres. They're Astral Spectre. Like they do what they do. I mean, they're on Northern Silence, which is mostly black metal, but I don't know. I get a kick out of this stuff, but it's just so weird because, like I said, I expect a lot cleaner and less aggressive vocals over the type of music that this is. So, yeah, right. Actually, that's the newest album, Marty. Newest album has a wizard, and I'm pretty sure there's a bong in the cover. Yeah, Astral Spectre, they're unusual. I'll just say that. Like, you hit play and you're like, oh man, this is gonna be some great 70s like space rock, and then the dude starts snarling like it's Persecution Mania, and you're like, okay, weird, but he goes all in. Like the dude's like, he's 100%. It's a one-man band, and he goes all in with it, and he's got some really shreddy. That's the other thing too. So it's like Hallis, but it's got like real shreddy like metal solos.
Well, I'm sold. I'm checking that out. That's
it's
awesome. Yeah.
Like I said, it's different.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I like the cover on that one. I was surprised to see that was Northern Silence because their stuff is typically like atmospheric, like folk black metal and stuff.
Yeah. So.
Totally. All right. Let's see. Number 6 is Eating Crow. Talk about an album you used to hate, but after years it finally clicked and now you can't get enough of it. This one came up pretty easily as well. Out of, some of these questions were kind of hard. This one was kind of a recent one, and I didn't hate this record at all. It just took a long time for it to click for me. And Anathema, the Silent Enigma. And this is the second full length by this band and the last album of their sort of death doom era of the early 90s Peaceful 3 stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I've always been a fan of Anathema, more like mid to later day stuff. But I don't know, like the death doom stuff never really quite clicked with me. I think as I was coming up, getting into this music and stuff, I wasn't really into the doom stuff early on, and it wasn't until later in life that I started getting into like death doom and just doom stuff in general. I ended up buying this. I don't know. I think I bought this at a record store. I can't really remember where it was, but just kind of blind bought it, even though I had heard it before, but having become a fan of the band, I wanted to try to dig deeper into their catalog, and I liked it, but it just never really clicked, and I just kind of shelved it, and I actually almost sold it after a while. I'm glad I didn't. Most recently, I did a deep dive with Jeff on the Anathema catalog, and I started to well, what ended up happening is I wasn't on the first half of that deep dive where they did all this early stuff, and him and Derek from Tomb Mold and Steve from Crip Sermon were just gushing about this album, and I was like, God, that album is just never. I've never really got it. Like I kind of liked it. I didn't hate it, of course, but it just never clicked. So I really sat with it for a long time and listened to it a few times. And the more I listened to it, the more it really started to kind of open up for me. And I realized just actually how brilliant of a record it is. I mean, it's really kind of unto itself. I mean, of course, sort of, the Peacefield 3, all three of those bands I felt kind of sounded a bit different, even if they were going for a similar sort of aesthetic. But it's kind of one of those bygone eras for this band, because if you listen to their new stuff or their later stuff, it's, atmospheric, rock or whatever you want to call it, nothing even related to metal. Even gone from, by the second record after this, they were pretty much not a metal band anymore. But this I don't know, man. It's just, it really took a long time, but I'm glad it clicked, because even lately I've been listening to it a lot, and it's so damn good. I mean, it's really, really melodic and just, Death Do Me. This is the first one that they got Vincent doing the death vocals. I thought he did a really great job. That was one of the things I didn't like about the first record, was the vocals kind of started to grow on me. And of course, Pentecost 3, which is equally as good as this, even though that was Darren White on vocals, having Vincent start to handle that. Just very, very atmospheric. It's expansive, death doom album, never to be repeated. And I really, really dig it at this point. Glad I stuck with it. Just shows you that some of those old records, if you didn't like it, you should always go back and check in and see how you feel about it. And that's what I really love about those deep dives, is those kind of force you to go back to it, especially if you're going to discuss it with people on a live stream. You want to kind of at least halfway sound like you know what you're talking about. Yeah. So yeah, but that's what those deep dives do, is they really force you to kind of reach back, and a lot of times you end up finding something you like that you didn't. So I mean, you don't have to do a deep dive, if you want to do your own deep dive and just go into the history of a band and really spend time with it, end up finding something you like out of it. So
yeah, for me, with this question, instead of an album, it was a bit more of a band where I really only clicked with one album, and I was like, that's enough. I don't know if I'd really need any of this band's other material. And I'm actually talking about Obituary. For me, Slowly We Rot, kind of like I got it, and I was like, this is cool, but it's not really like clicking as like top notch with like Altars of Madness or Scream Bloody Gore, the contemporaries. And I was like, maybe for me, Obituary is just Cause of Death, and that's it. And I don't really need any of the other stuff. Over the years, I've slowly been proven wrong about that, and mainly, honestly, just seeing Obituary live and kind of hearing the new material in a live environment helped it click. I mean, there's a certain like hardcore and like even hard rock swagger to Obituary that I think is a little bit different from some of the other bands of that era, and especially on their newer stuff. And when I finally like just took a step back, became fine with Tardy's vocal performance and just how he's just belching nonsense the whole time. I really grew to like this album, Slowly Rot, and especially started enjoying the newer stuff more so than I thought. This is the self-titled one from 2017, and this is a blast. And when I saw them, they headlined with Immolation and Blood Incantation opening, I believe, last year. And it was probably one of the best shows I've seen in like the past, probably since the whole COVID shit happened. And it was just fun, man. The whole crowd was into it. The songs were energetic, and crowd surfing was nonstop. The mosh pits were nonstop. And these are just fun, simple songs. Like Are any of their modern albums probably better than like a 7 to an 8 out of 10? No, but they're still good, and I'm interested in getting like the Incomplete and World Demise, and maybe even Frozen in Time. I'm not going to go as far as listening to Executioner's Return or anything like that, but I want to explore a little bit more into Obituary, and I was wrong to think that they were just a one-trick pony with Cause of Death. So it's my pick.
Yeah, I would say the Incomplete and World Demise are definitely worth your time. The Incomplete gets a lot of hate, but I still dig that record. I thought it had some good stuff. Probably because it was the first Obituary I ever heard. They had the video on Headbangers Ball, like when I was in like 9th grade. But World Demise is really good too. Really streamlined songwriting on that one. Probably a little bit more polished for them, but they still wrote some good stuff on that one.
I think we almost listened to them as like an instrumental band. That also helped it click for me, because some of the tracks, they are just instrumental tracks, and then here's 30 seconds of ooga booga vocals, and it's awesome. It's good fun stuff. So I'm glad I finally enjoy the band for more than just an album.
Yeah, this is the question that I got nothing on it, man. Like,
it was
I don't
tough
have.
for me too.
Well, see, mainly for me, it's like if there's an album I hated, I guess I hold a grudge. It's like if I really didn't like it, then I'm just gonna continue to not like it, and it's not going to be anywhere near my collection. I mean, now I guess I'll say this. So it's not necessarily an album, but more like a band. I guess kind of similar to you, Logan. But the newest Aura album actually kind of put me on board with that band. But I still can't listen to those earlier albums. I can't stand those earlier albums at all. They make my ears hurt. Like, I tried going back. I was like, oh shit, Aura clicks now. And I went back.
I was going to ask if you went back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It didn't click enough. Especially that second album in the trilogy. God, I didn't even get through the first song.
That's my least favorite one. But the first and the third, the bookends of the trilogy, are the ones I dig the most. But I mean, really, I see what you're saying about the vocals, but there's the riffs on those two records are like kind of.
Well, it's just,
I get it though. Yeah, if the vocals are too much, they'll ruin it.
It's not necessarily just the vocals; it's just how they're presented. That's the biggest problem for me. And I've said it many times before, and not just about that band, but just shrieky black metal vocals in general. Like if that's if they put that right in the front of the mix, that distracts me from the music. And that's the same thing that happened to that Aura. And it's like the music gets going, I'm like, yeah. And then Flus opens her mouth, and I'm like, done. That's it. And like I said, it's something about her frequency. It, like, I'm not kidding. It physically makes my ear hurt. Like, yeah. And I'm just like, done. But on that newest album, and I guess the EP that same producer did, was, people were saying that I should go and check that one out. But they put her back enough. They mixed her better with the music, and it wasn't a distraction to listen to. But anyway, that's as close as I got.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. The new one clicked with you. Hopefully they continue that sort of balance with their production, because they're too good of a band to let the vocals ruin it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But I was making that joke. I was like, they need to shackle that producer to like their home studio, and like, he is the guy. Like, he's the only one that touches their albums from here on out.
Yeah, James, that was my second favorite album of the year, actually. And there was a lot of good shit last year, so I didn't choose that lightly. But it's excellent record for me, that new Aura Iger. But cool. All right. Let's see. We're at Impulse. Show an album that you blind bought in 2024. Man, I almost didn't have one for this either. Like, I had a couple things that I could have chosen as blind buys, but I already kind of heard the band. So I didn't like really know the records, but this one I definitely blind bought, based off another MDF performance. And So I found this I was at the record store in Denver and looking at vinyl, and this was used for $20. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take it. Ripper, Experiment of Existence. And these guys played Sunday at MDF last year. And I actually missed most of their set. They were one of the first bands. I was at the IHOP with Jeff and Nick and John from Thralls of Metal, getting, wouldn't call it a breakfast. It was more like a lunch. It was like a late lunch breakfast. And last day of the festival. And if you go to MDF, the IHOP is like right on the corner there, and the stage is like right outside. So we could already hear these guys already starting to play. We walked outside and walked by the side, and I was like, man, these guys sound killer. Maybe caught like their last two songs where we were kind of walking in. I couldn't even see them, but I could hear them. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Hadn't checked them out, before the festival, but this is like old school death thrash from Chile. Very, very old school vibe to it. A little bit more. It's very kind of in the middle of death thrash. Kind of harkens back to old Death, old Pestilence. A bit of Morbid Angel in there, but very thrashy, killer stuff. Awesome bass playing. I don't know if it's fretless bass. It kind of sounds like fretless bass, but good solos. I didn't even really listen to the band even afterwards. I just so happened to come across this. I was like, oh yeah, they were killer. $20, I'll take it for a cool color variant. Go listen to it. It's good stuff. It's not really doing anything new. But it was about as good as I could remember as far as what I had heard. I think this is actually their most recent record, but it came out quite a few years ago. So I guess they're kind of had a resurgence, come back, do MDF. But yeah, just old school death thrash, kind of fun stuff. I don't know how much I'll spin it very much more, but it was just a straight up saw that. Yeah, I'll take that. And yeah, I mean, I've had worse blind buys in the past. So, but yeah, Ripper, Experiments of Existence.
Man, I love a good blind buy. Like there's an art,
especially when it's worth it,
Oh yeah, taking it home. And honestly, if you're judging it by the album cover and like if you know what labels to look for, and you can like look at the liner notes and see if they thank what bands they thank. There's an art to it. Mine was an easy one. I saw this for a couple bucks, and going off the name, and honestly, this is in honor of TJ, who last night he picked an album for the next week's Metallurgy Album Club which is a crustacean. It's War Crab. Awesome fucking name, right? War Crab. So I'm taking your crustacean, TJ, and I'm raising you a mollusk with Slug Lord. And this was their debut album, Transmutation. And this is just some straight up stoner doom. Like, imagine Yob mixed with Conan and maybe a bit of like more intense sludge at times. But slow burning tracks, shouted vocals, great song titles. Triumphant Drunk is track 2. Gastropoda is the final song, which is like just an epic 12-minuter. Yeah, this is right up my alley, and somehow I knew that by looking at the cover and the name of the band. Lucky guess, but
totally.
That's called good marketing, I guess. But this is like an ideal blind buy for me, is when you can find something like this for a couple bucks that you would never have normally found out. Yeah, Snail Stomp. That's a good idea. There's also Frog Mallet, if anyone's interested in like amphibian themed death metal. All kinds of fun. And Trash Panda. That's a good band too.
Bathtub Shitter. Gotta go down the rabbit hole. Good names.
It's a deep hole. It's up.
Was that Frog Mallet? Was that the one y'all showed from last year? It was a frog something that got shown in one of the streams.
What was that? I don't have it, but
which stream?
I think it was on. I think it was Kellen that showed it. Was it a frog something? It was, or a toad something. Maybe it was a toad something.
There's a band called Toad
familiar?
Liquor, which I love.
Was it Toad Liquor? Maybe that was it.
Toad, that's some.
Yeah, Kellen showed that one recently.
Some hateful, like kind of sludge, noisy sludge stuff. Could be Toad Liquor. Great band. Good name too.
Good name. All right, what did you pick for this one, Tyler?
So this one, it's one of those deals where I was buying stuff on Soul Seller Records, and I don't know, I guess because I was buying direct from the label, I wanted to kind of pad the order to justify shipping, and this was on sale. Are you done, Kat? Okay, cool. This was on sale, and this was a new to me band, but was it Aspermentum? Primal Judgment Manifesto. And to describe this, so this is a 2024 EP, and stylistically, it's Swedish black metal, but it sounds a lot like I would say like Sorhin a little bit, and then actually it reminds me a lot of the last EP that the Ancients Rebirth put out, Damnated Hell's Arrival. It's that kind of vibe. I mean, Swedish black metal. So I mean, it's pretty standard fare, but it's really good. And I didn't bother. I actually forgot I purchased it, and then the order showed up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I wonder what this sounds like. Hope it's good." And luckily, it was good. But like I said, it was just one of those deals where I wanted to fill my shopping cart, justify some shipping costs, and that's what I ended up with. Most recently, before that, a couple years ago, I got this guy. Actually, I showed this on the Metallurgy Discord. The Mylan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Huxeri. But yeah, so this was also a blind buy initially. I did go and I found it on YouTube after I bought it. I bought this off of Blood and Crescent. They had copies of it in their distro. Once again, even though it's a US distro, I was just like looking for more shit to kind of add to the cart. So I wasn't just buying one CD and paying, $5, $6, $8 shipping or whatever. And yeah, stylistically, this is that kind of real folky, kind of Storm inspired black metal. But it's all clean vocals. But I like how they do the lyric book. It looks like a tome, like a spell book almost. And this is the only way it comes. But yeah, but like I said, this was a blind buy, and then I checked it out later before I got it, so it wasn't a true blind buy, but close enough.
Yeah, that's always cool. You always when you order from distros, just add something you don't know, just to justify the shipping cost. That's a good idea. I don't think I've ever done that.
It's gotta be on sale though. I'm not paying $15 for a CD I hadn't heard of before. So if I see something that's on clearance, I'm like $6, $7. This was like $6 or $7, something like that. But it's fucking killer. It's good stuff.
All right, number 8. Collector Scum, show a title that you own more than one pressing of on the same formats. Let's see. So for this one, for me was let me blow myself up. This would be Anatta, the Conductor's Departure. This is a Swedish sort of technical death metal band, and really, really dig this band. They kind of disappeared. Try and go back here a little better. Kind of disappeared. I've been hearing rumblings of them getting back together and recording a new record coming up soon. So hopefully that happens. They released like 3 or 4 full lengths. They were on that Wicked World imprint of Earache, which kind of got like just lost in the mix, and it just like ended. And I think that had something to do with the dissolution of the band. But I was kind of getting into them at the time. Like this was like early 2000s. This is like in the era where, Decapitated was just coming out with their first couple of records, and the Wicked World imprint had a few other bands like that weren't. I don't know if it was like not quite good enough for Earache at the time, or what their intention was for Wicked World, but it had other stuff like December Wolves and just like kind of maybe bands that didn't quite fit the Earache aesthetic. But this they kind of like the first couple of records were just kind of straight death metal, Swedish death metal, and then they kind of took it a little bit more technical. But when I say technical, it's not like over the top technical kind of stuff like you hear like Fallujah or stuff like that. It's very refined, dark death metal, but the technicality really comes in through the guitars, and these guys just had like kind of a unique way of playing. The two guitar players just playing off of each other. Excellent drummer too, just fantastic. Blasting fast double bass kind of stuff. But yeah, I had bought this, like, I think this came out, it was like 2006, and played the hell out of the CD. And most recently they started repressing all the Wicked World stuff on Earache, and my CD was like played to hell. It's got a lot of scratches, so I ended up picking up one of the new digipacks just to replace the CD. And of course, this is like one of those shitty, just like everything else Earache is doing right now, awful job with just the digipack, no booklet, really just flimsy cardboard, just really no sense of quality whatsoever. But at least I've got a newer CD that I can pull out instead of the old one. But cool artwork, killer band that kind of went under the radar and kind of got lost in the mix. But this stuff still sounds fresh and innovative for what they were doing. They kind of got caught up in like the whole necrophagist stuff, when necrophagist came out at the time. That was kind of the big thing, was a lot of bands were doing like the technical shit. But these guys kind of stood apart from that, though. Even though they were technical, they had a lot of feeling and just a darker kind of vibe to them. But yeah, excellent band. I hope that they're gonna get back together and do another record, because they were just too awesome not to do it. So
yeah,
I remember those guys. I kind of remember those guys sounding a little bit like Vomitory.
Yeah, if you took like Vomitory and made it like a little more technical, and a little bit more like definitely more flashy drumming and stuff like that, with maybe like a bit of a punk vibe. And
yeah, I haven't listened to that band in a really long time, but I had one of their CDs like way back in the day.
I have their debut. Trying to think of the name of it, but they have a good penchant for melody too.
Yeah,
technical for sure, but like they do not shy away from being melodic. The Infernal Depths of Hatred, that's the one I have.
That's the first
debut.
one. Yeah, they had like the later stuff. It was like it's melodic, but they had a fine line between it being sort of like dissonant, sort of twisted, but also like not too much like in terms of the melodies were like there was, I don't know, is there such a thing as like dissonant melodies or something? It's kind of like that, if you kind of draw the line between there somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of quite different from the debut, but really, really worth checking out. Yeah, but
nice.
Yeah, good pull. So yeah, I'm not necessarily a collector scum who has like tons of duplicates, but if I stumble upon one that's like a different pressing, I mean, always on CD. I don't think I have any vinyl duplicates, but like a different CD pressing that changes up like the packaging or the track listing in some way, and it's a good price, I will pick it up. Number of the Beast is a great example of this. So this is, I believe, the original CD from Capitol Records from 1982. 8 tracks. Great album. I don't really need to talk too much about it. Definitely Iron Maiden's most well known, and just How Be Thy Name is still my favorite Iron Maiden song. Period. Newer album, 9 tracks on this one. They add Total Eclipse at track 8 for this newer pressing, and there's a reason for it. I think it's because were they trying to fit it in on an LP or something, and that's why they cut it originally? there was a story behind it, and I forgot, and what that was, but for whatever reason, they put it back on the newer represses of this thing.
Huh.
So, yeah, like having a newer version of Number of the Beast gives you that Total Eclipse song, which it's nothing to write home about, but it's still Maiden, still like classic Maiden. So happy to have that. Oh yeah, and that's the kind of like duplicates I would buy if I get the chance. Yeah, I think Devin, the Maiden expert, is correct. B-side.
That was probably like their when they were putting out those 7 inches for all the singles, they would always have a B-side, extra track.
Some of those B-sides were absolutely killer, though.
Yeah, I put Total Eclipse up there for sure. It's on the newer one, because actually I had only listened to that album with Total Eclipse as a part of it. I always thought it was one of the weaker songs on the second half. Who knows? Maybe if I had listened to the original version first, I would have found Number of the Beast to be a stronger album overall without that song. A what if scenario.
All right. So I actually had quite a few for these, but I'm only going to show 2 because I got all the Falkenbach reissues. I got the Eternus reissues. I've got I think I have a couple like the older Iron Maiden reissues, like Dissection. They have the Dark Funeral. All those bands that had reissues later on, but I'm going to highlight a couple Swedish bands. First off would be Dawn, Slaughter Son.
Oh yeah.
And so this is the OG pressing here. I played the absolute shit out of this. So this is the more recent Cosmic Key reissue from a couple years ago, because I realized that CDs like this that have just been hanging out in my collection since the 90s are probably worth a little bit of something.
Definitely.
I should probably take a little bit. I mean, the CD's in great shape, but everything else is kind of beat up. And so, yeah, Dawn. And then I got all the Allegiance reissues. So I'll highlight the last album that they put out, Verde or Reed, how you pronounce that. So No Fashion Band. People who are not familiar, this was the other project featuring B. War and Frederick Anderson on drums. And actually, at this era, when these albums were coming out, I actually preferred these to the Marduk albums. So it's just fast-paced, Viking theme, black death metal. And then, so this is the original No Fashion pressing. And then this is the later reissue from, who did this one? Helter Skelter Records. And it's got the complete booklet and everything on it. So
I got to say, they might have improved the logo a little bit on the reissue.
Well, it's more legible, but I don't know. I like the OG logo. But yeah, but like I said, I have a pile of these. Like I said, the whole Falkenbach collection, the Eternus reissues. But I figure I keep it brief and just keep it to those 2.
Yeah, that Dawn is a good pick. All right. Let's see.
I got all the Dawn. Actually, both albums and the EP got reissued. So
yeah, I've got the EP. I still don't have a copy of the first full length. I just wanted to get it on CD and I missed it. It might be available on Cosmic Key. I was hoping that it would show up in one of the US distros, but one of these days I'll get a copy of it because I, missed out on the early days. All right. Show off a grail, something you really wanted that you acquired in 2024. I've got a couple for this one. So cassettes. I do still collect cassettes, and it's mostly like old school stuff. And the only reason why is I'm actually going to do a whole cassette tag because I saw Dennis did that, and it's been kind of popping up. And I've been kind of waiting for a reason to show some of my early 90s stuff that I bought when I was in high school. And so I'm always on the hunt for, just early 90s cassette tapes. And the reason why is because nostalgia. I remember going to Camelot, when I was in high school, and would just have just enough money to buy a cassette tape or whatever, just getting into death metal and things. So I was talking about like the only record store here in Colorado Springs. They recently got an auction to this guy who died, had this insane collection. So they bought the whole collection and had a whole bunch of stuff. And they often post on Instagram whenever they do something like that and show off some of the things that are available. And as soon as I saw this stuff, I was like, I think it was that day, like a couple hours later, went over there and picked up a couple of these. Yeah, I mean, this was one I never would have thought I would have came across with a good price. So let's see. Carcasses, Symphonies of Sickness, original tape pressing. And it's funny because like this artwork is sort of like, as I was showing with the Anata record, like the earache stuff is just really wasn't handled very well in terms of the represses. I mean, obviously they did all this stuff on vinyl and CD and stuff. And I really just can't stand that new cover that they're going with what they actually put on the back of the CD. It was like an upside down blown off head or whatever. You can't even really tell what it is. On the CD, it's like really pixelated and just looks like shit. I just don't know why you wouldn't have just kept with the original stuff, and the early Carcass stuff is all about gore. So why not keep, with the spirit of this stuff? And so happened to find this. I mean, quite a find for me because I've got all the early Carcass stuff on cassette, except for this one and Reek of Putrefaction, which honestly, I don't really care if I find a good tape copy of that. I've got a good CD original pressing of it. But I'm a sucker for that stuff. The early 90s, Earache, Relapse, Nuclear Blast, all that kind of stuff. Perfect shape. The J card is not about to break apart. This is kind of just a little small portion of the artwork that was on the bigger CD. But that was just a cool find. And, the tape sounds fine. I've played it a couple times, no problems. I'll probably never play it again. I've got a perfectly good CD copy if I ever want to listen to Symphonies of Sickness, which I don't really have to listen to a whole lot more now because I know it so well. But it's just really cool to have that copy of it because I had been seeing it for so long. I was like, those old cassettes is just, you don't find this anymore. I wonder how many exist at this point in good condition like that. And also along with that, I found the Winter Into Darkness tape.
Wow,
that's cool.
One of the first pressings too. I think it's Future Shock Recordings, 1990. And it was interesting because I didn't realize that tapes came with like colors, like in those days. If you could tell, it's like a silver kind of shell, but this one as well is in really good shape. And obviously the guy that they bought this stuff off of kept it in really good condition. It's not ripped apart or anything like that. Still smell that J card. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I know it's goofy. It's a collector thing. That's all it is. I mean, I don't really need to spin these tapes to just enjoy them, having them in my collection, but, Winter, I mean, Killer, just, I mean, one of the progenitors of American death doom kind of stuff. And, it still sounds good to this day, I think. I just like the production. And I mean, it's pretty primal and, not as developed as some of the death doom that you're going to hear today. But, man, I will say I spent a little bit on this, but that's because these are not available anymore in such good condition. I couldn't pass on it. So, I wouldn't say that the Winter so much. Well, I mean, because I have the Winter on CD with so much of I'll be real. These are grails. Anytime I find shit like this that I can just have and just look at and enjoy, I mean, it's a grail to me as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention Carcass, Jimmy, because that was actually my pull for this one with Necroticism. This is actually the first time I own this one, and I have the albums before. I had the albums before this one, and I had them after. I just never stumbled across this. Didn't want to buy one of the represses. I just wanted to wait and see what I would find. And sure enough, it was actually on my birthday this year or last year that I stumbled across this in just the local used bin for a good price. And
oh my god,
yeah, I was like, all right, I'll take it. It's not like a first press or nothing. I think it's like a mid 90s or early. Yeah, I think a mid 90s pressing, but definitely happy to finally have this. I mean, definitely a classic for sure. Corporal Jigsaw, Quandary. Yeah, so many good tracks on here. Incarnated, Solvent Abuse. Definitely, yeah. Fun, love Carcass. Happy to have this finally for sure.
Yeah, and it has the guts on the back. That's definitely one of the early.
Yes,
pressings.
It does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how like, because I remember, like, I was probably like in ninth grade, going to Tower Records on Decatur Street, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Logan, Tower's not there anymore.
I was about to say, yeah,
but it was there for a while. It was over there, like right when you're coming down Canal, you turn left on Decatur. It was right down there. That was where I got stuff.
Wow.
And they had that CD, and at the time I was in ninth grade. And I bought the cassette tape. I still got the cassette tape. And my friend bought the CD, and his dad was not real jazzed about that because of the guts on the back. He was like, "What the?"
Show him the front cover real quick, and you could get away with it.
He was like, "Yeah, but Dad, you got to hear the music. It's so great."
That probably would not help.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Opens up with like serial killers and.
To his credit, he let him buy it. So I mean. It's got to count for something, right? So, yeah, but that's cool, man. That's a good find, dude. It's cool when you find shit like that, and even like the cassette tapes, but CDs too. When you find those old CD pressings, so that early stuff, sucker for it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a cool cassette pressing of that symphonies you got.
Yeah, man.
All right. So for me. This is actually a newer album, but I remember when it first came out, I saw it on Bandcamp because I follow the main musician of the band, and it was one of those deals where it was like, oh, I need to get this. I'm going to buy this, but I got to wait till payday. Payday came around, CD sold out, never got repressed. And that's the Cenotaph.
Oh, yeah.
Not Verita. And it's weird because you go to this dude, the main musician on this, he goes by Fog, or on Bandcamp, he's Fog the Necropope. You listen to all of his other projects that are on that, or on the Bandcamp especially, they sound a lot like this. But something about this got everyone all wet in the panties, and they bought it up. And Discogs, it was always ludicrously priced on Discogs. And I'm not going to say that I got this for cheap. But I got it from a European seller, and with shipping, it cost me right around $40. I'm not proud of that, but this is one of those albums that I was targeting for a while, ever since it came out, because I was like, oh, no, it'll eventually get repressed. He'll put more copies of the CD. Nope, never did. But that's kind of, it's kind of funny now that I think about it. That's been kind of my threshold for these kind of Grail purchases. Like, I won't spend more than like $40 on a Grail CD. So the Volnute, before that got repressed, I spent about $40 on that. And then I got original first pressing of that Dawn EP, and that was like $35 for like 4 songs. But still, this is one of those ones I've been wanting it for a while. I looked around. I looked on Discogs on a whim more recently. Saw a guy, high seller rating, like reasonable shipping, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm pulling the trigger on it because this is one of those ones where I kicked myself that I missed it just because I was like, I'm gonna wait till payday, make sure I have a little more money in the bank account. But now I have it. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'm a big nerd for the French black metal. That's probably one of my absolute favorite French black metal albums. It is fucking stellar.
Yeah, I need to spend more time with that album. I didn't give it its due. It's because you're not the only one that's raving about that one.
Yeah, and like I said, it was wild because, like I said, like I encourage everyone that's listening out there, you go to Fog the Necropope on Bandcamp and listen to any of his other projects that are on there. Very similar sound, but they didn't sell like that one did for whatever reason.
See, I almost don't want to listen to it if I have to pay $40 to own it on physical.
Yeah, and that's the only way. Like, it never got repressed, so
it's gonna hook me, and then I'm gonna be like,
Yeah, Rick, I've learned since then, and I was like, no, I can. Now it's like I can hold out a couple days. I could scrape for a couple days until I get my paycheck. But I'm actually, money-wise, I'm actually doing much better nowadays than I was when that came out. So, and then actually, I'll be getting a new job. I'll be getting a new job starting in 1st of April.
Oh yeah,
so, nice.
Okay,
and there'll be a bump in pay there too. So
nice.
The collection's going to grow exponentially, I'm sure.
Watch out, black metal collectors.
Yeah, I remember Devin.
Yeah, Devin,
still get that.
Or Devin, that's the reissue though. Find a first press for $25. They did repress it on LP, but not on CD.
CD's the better format, guys. Come on.
That's why
I'm starting to kind of,
I knew Tyler would agree.
Yeah, and I think, I think you're right to a certain extent. I mean,
I'm talking for your money.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, man. Like that vinyl is super cool for the art, especially if it has like really elaborate, like, like the OG like Iron Maiden albums, like all those covers. Yeah, that'd be awesome to get those on vinyl just because of that art. But like, I don't know. A lot of the people nowadays, they're like the real hardcore vinyl collectors for black metal, but they all get the Transylvania Hunger clones, and it's like, why? Like, what's the appeal?
Yeah,
especially with the art, especially when it's just overly saturated black and white photo with or a dude holding a club or holding a sword or holding a torch, or holding a bottle of whiskey or whatever.
Yeah, I'm even more blown away by people that the guys that collect like every single variant of a record. It's like
oh, dude.
You just blew like $300 on that album. Well, it's probably more than that. I mean, depending on what it is. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it kind of borderline addiction. It's just, I mean, like because I've gotten to a point to where I love vinyl, but like I rarely like, and I have a nice setup at home. I just rarely ever am able to really sit down and spin stuff. And then when I end up doing it, a lot of times it's usually when I have like people over, like I have like media nights, like with some of my friends around here who are not like really big metalheads, but they'll like some stuff. But even at that, like, if we're hanging out, and I really hate having to get up and flip the record, it's like, whereas the CD, it's just like, you just listen to it start to finish and, it's good. So I think there's, an argument to be made for, I think it really just comes down to preference and what you have time for. And it's nice to have a vinyl copy of something that you really enjoy, but like there's absolutely nothing wrong with a CD. Absolutely nothing wrong with a cassette, just something that is meaningful. It's all about the physical product at the end of the day, not, I mean, at least for me, it's like, like the sound, I'm not an audiophile, so it doesn't, I don't notice a damn difference. I mean, I can notice a difference between like an MP3 and like a vinyl, but like, CD, vinyl, whatever,
Yeah, well, I don't know. The thing for me is like with the vinyl, it's like, oh, it's the superior audio format. And it's like, well, yeah, if you have like, a 5-digit sound system with
There's that too.
high-end amplifier and like the best stylists and the best, like the best of the best of the best of the best shit, then yeah, you'll probably hear a profound difference. But is it really that profound? Is it like that much more profound? But I'm finding myself more and more, man, like I might have to start finding the means, start playing cassettes, because there's so much good shit now coming out, especially in the black metal realm, and they're all only doing cassette. And it's like,
all right, you should do it, dude.
It's like, you fuckers.
Yeah. But again, if that's all they do, I mean, get you a cheap cassette deck.
Well, Heavy Therapy is right, but
to give him credit.
So yeah, Heavy Therapy, like he brings up a good point. But on the flip side of that, my biggest issue with a lot of vinyl is they cheap out and they don't bother remixing an album for vinyl. They'll take like those CD files or whatever and then press it onto vinyl, and it's like then it sounds even worse.
Yeah, I guess that's probably happening a lot more. Do you think that's happening a lot more now than it did like 10 years ago? Or
probably. Sorry.
Well, and you too. Yeah, anybody. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it depends on the genre. I mean, I think there's certain genre like metal, especially. Like I don't think there's not a lot of labels are taking the time to send an album to go through the whole mastering process again to put it onto vinyl. But there's some that do. But
yeah,
and that's something I actually didn't realize. That I didn't realize that they would mix it different for vinyl. That's something I learned like a few years ago. So,
yeah, yep, the Geiger counter for sure. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty highly debated topic, and I think it really just comes down to personal preference and things like that. Whatever you like, whatever works best for you. It comes down to personal preference versus how good is your sound system versus do you like black vinyl versus color vinyl versus you could just go crazy with these what's better more so than just get what you want and what you enjoy best, go for it. But I say if you're finding releases that are just tape only and they're not going to release anything else, at least you get something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you may as well do it, Tyler.
I have a couple that I bought mainly because like the last Elegiac album came out, it was only on cassette, but I'm buddies with the dude and I'm down to support him, and that was the only way I was going to get a physical copy of it. So, and then the Blue Dock tapes. You guys familiar with that label? Like BLUDAK, like the bird. But anyway, all his shit it's like the dank of the dank type black metal. But he's a guy that used to come to my Bound by Entrail shows back in the day up here in Alaska. He's the guy that runs the label. So I buy the occasional thing from him just for solidarity, just so I can catch up with him a little bit. But yeah, like I said, and actually, this is a subject that's going to come up later when it's like, what do you want to see repressed? I'm going to have a couple links for you, Jimmy.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on. Plead to the VCLT guys. What is a Grail item you're on the hunt for? I didn't really have a whole lot for this. I mean, for the most part, I'm able to get a copy of something I want. But if I really wanted something, this would be it. Would be Disembowelment, Transcendence into the Peripheral. I just want it on CD. I don't want. I mean, I can get it on vinyl right now. But I don't know. There's something about that record. I just prefer to have it on CD. I'd love to have like one of the early pressings. When Relapse did the reissue, I don't know why they didn't put it out on CD. I guarantee you a lot of people would have bought it. I still look for it occasionally on Discogs, and it doesn't go for cheaper than $80 for a CD. So stupid.
That's crazy.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I guess
I felt bad for Tyler with the $40 purchase, but that's
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to pay $80 for the CD. I mean, even though I would pay, I mean, just because it's like the old pressing that's no longer in print. I mean, I get it. Well, I don't get ever charging somebody $80 for a CD. It's stupid. But you know, even like it would be really cool to have one of those pressings. But if Relapse would just put a CD out of the damn record, then I'm really happy about that. I don't need the disembowelment record on double vinyl. It's too much. I'm never gonna spin that. You know, it's not the kind of record I want to.
It's only the one album, right?
Yeah.
The only I had a chance. Like I could have had that CD, like I don't know, however many years ago when it came out, but I listened to it and I didn't like it.
There's got to be.
Oh yeah, I didn't
else.
think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is back in like late '90s, early 2000s. It was hanging out in my local CD store that we had at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I read good things about this in Pit Magazine and whatever, and wasn't for me.
I wish I could go back to the past you when you didn't know me and be like, hey, buy that guy for this guy you're going to know in the future. And
right?
He's cool, I promise.
Yeah, I promise
yeah,
I don't know. A good thing.
I don't know what it is with Relapse, though, because they repress everything. Like, how many represses has Any Death CD got? But you're right, they won't do it for disembowelment. There's got to be something going on. Too. It is. I don't know. Got to be something behind the scenes going on.
Really? Fuck, I swear to God, I looked a couple days ago. I didn't see anything on eBay either. So, yeah. Well,
get on it, Devin. Buy it for Jimmy.
Under 40 still doesn't sound cheap.
Come on, man.
It still doesn't sound affordable.
VCLT, Devin. Come on. but yeah, actually, you know, I mean, just put it out on CD. God damn it, you know. I mean, it's a classic record. People buy it for ages, you know. So yeah, it's not really a grail, you know. I don't really have a grail, you know. I mean, specific grail in mind for me. So
you kind of likewise, and for me, not necessarily a VCLT plea, but like used record bin plea or used CD bin. If they could get more of these New Orleans bands, because I'm now in New Orleans, I'm ready to beef up my goat whore collection with like some of the earlier material. This is the only Soylent Green album I have. Confrontation.
Oh man,
I had Deleted Symphony pretty early on. I bought that one as a blind buy back when I was like 16, and it was too much. It was one of those that just didn't click with me, and I ended up selling it, and of course regretted it later. And then this is the only Exporter album I have, so I don't have. I'm missing the big one that Slaughter in the Vatican, and a lot of people talk shit about this one, but actually, I love that one. I've enjoyed it. You know, so
I think they're crazy. That's a great record.
Yeah, the riffs are heavy and beefy. The cover of Into the Void is awesome. And I even think Kyle sounds cool with his Phil imitation. So I don't mind it. I definitely would enjoy a copy of Slaughter of the Vatican though, for sure. So yeah, if one of these record stores could just have a couple of these for a good price, I'd appreciate that.
Slaughter got repressed on vinyl pretty recently, but it's not cheap. It's
what, like $30 to $40, $40.
I think it was more than that. I looked at.
Oh my God!
I found it on Amazon. It was like $50. I was like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
but that would be cool. Yeah, do a CD repress of that too. Damn it.
Rick's right. I enjoy some of the Pantera stuff.
Actually, Devin,
Driven, Great Southern Trendkill.
Yes. That's a great album. I like that one a lot. But so my grail item, I would never expect this in a VCLT, and I will never expect to find it for any kind of reasonable cost. But just because of the I guess the historical content for it, and then the fact that it was just a very important album for me, as far as what got me into black metal. And I would love a Death Like Silence Productions original pressing of De Mysterious Dom Sathanas, Mayhem. Not because like, I mean, I still love that album, and like it's an all-time great black metal album for me because it is my first one that got me into black metal, 1995. But I would love a pressing of that for that reason, because that's what set it off. That's what got me on that path. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I know, dude.
How much could you get? How much could you get one of those for? Like,
oh, they're hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah,
wow.
They're never going to be. It's never going to be cheap. Maybe like 60 years from now, when CDs are obsolete and people are trying to desperately get rid of their shit, then maybe I'll find it for cheap. But
so when we're 110, we'll be able to pick up that.
But no, the problem is that you go to like auction sites or whatever. There's plenty of people that are trying to sell off bootlegs as OG pressings. So it's like, but I want like a legit verified DSP pressing of De Mysterious. But as Devin said, I'll just keep dreaming.
Yeah, I mean, they've already repressed it so many times in so many other, formats and labels that actually, just,
I need to get like one of those repress, like the actual later repress, and then also even that live version, because my version. So I was a dumb high school kid when I bought the Century Black version of it, right? And this is shameful to say, but I did a school project, and how it has like just the picture of a Hellhammer and Euronymous on the back of the CD booklet for those who have that. I cut that out for a project, so my booklet's all cut up.
Oh.
I mean, what did I know? I was like, yeah, this Mayhem band's fucking awesome, but I'll get it again someday. Never did.
That's funny.
Is that $216? Is that what you're saying, Dev? Damn. That's ridiculous.
Sounds like a deal.
And hopefully that'll be an actual legit version, though. Because like I said, there's boots out there. There are people trying to pawn off as the original thing. So.
All right. Let's see. Boomerang album. Show an album that no matter how many times you purge it from your collection, another copy returns to you. I didn't really have a whole lot for this. I do have one that kind of fits the description. God Dethroned, Ravenous. I don't know. I think I bought this originally. I like God Dethroned. I mean, I think they did some good records. This one had Tony Laureano playing drums on it. I think that's why I bought it originally back in the day. I don't know why, and maybe I need to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just didn't feel like this was that great of a record. I mean, the drums are good. 2001.
It was just a straight up death metal album.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. It just wasn't quite like, I was like really into Laureano at the time with Angel Corpse and, the Nile Shrines record. I think, and he's good on this for sure, but I don't, for whatever reason, I had it on CD, and I think at one point I purged a bunch of CDs like at a record store just to kind of clean. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but sometimes I'll go through everything and I'll just take a bunch of shit out that I know I don't want, which is kind of a bad practice actually, because you never know if you might want it again. And I think I got rid of it, and then I came across it for $7, and I was like, what the hell? I'll pick that up. And it's a pretty shitty copy of it. And then I listened to it, and I kind of was like, I kind of realized why I got rid of it, but it's not bad either. And it's not my favorite God Dethroned stuff. Not that I've really kept up with the band, because they have a lot of output, and they kind of really stay in the same, sort of, sound, not really doing a whole lot different. I mean, they've kind of went, a little more melodic, and then they kind of got a little bit more death metal with the war stuff. And But yeah, I don't know. It just it for some reason it disappeared, and then I bought it again, and then shelved it again. Never really listened to it again. So I don't know. It's not really the God Dethroned record I'm gonna pick. If I want to listen to Loriano, I'll listen to Angel Corpse or Dark Shrines. But yeah, just kept popping up for some reason. And that's the only one I could think of.
Yeah, I try my best not to get rid of stuff because back within the first couple years of collecting, I did that where I did sell a bunch of CDs, and at least 50% of what I sold, I regretted selling it. You know, like I've definitely rebought a significant portion of it. One of the CDs that I did sell that I did not want, did not necessarily want to buy back, but I did end up buying back was Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue. So glam was probably one of those early phases of music for me. I think it was a short-lived one. You can throw Skid Row's self-titled into this where I sold it and then ended up buying it back. But so I bought this, and then within probably 6 months of like the Motley Crue phase, it was over, and I did not want to listen to tracks like Slice of Your Pie, Same Old Situation, Sticky Sweet, and the classic She Goes Down anymore. I was kind of over it. Fast forward a couple years later with the Dirt biopic film, which is honestly, it's probably not that good, but got super fucking drunk with a buddy watching it, and thought nothing of it. Sure enough, a couple days later, this is in my mailbox. I'm like, thank you, Drunk Logan, for buying this for me. I like about 4 songs on this. I think I'm gonna hold on to it just because this Motley Crue is a band that I've been a fan of on and off for basically since the beginning. So they definitely deserve a place on the shelf. But do I listen to it that often? No. The songs that do kick ass are absolutely awesome. The tracks that, as I said, where they repeat, She Goes Down over and over again, not quite there for me. But Motley Crue's my pick for that question.
What's up, Eric? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Eric, you'd have been the last person I thought would come to the defense of Dr. Feelgood.
That's like that was his.
Was that the Awakening album?
That was a grail for him, for sure.
Oh, shit. Oh, my bad.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
All right. I have it. So kind of I really don't have stuff. So the way I read this question, when I see like, no matter how many times you purge it, like you're trying to, I always thought of that. I read that as like, you're just trying to get rid of it. Like you don't want it, but then it just somehow ends up back in your collection again. That's kind of how I took it.
I think that's how
I didn't have any. So I didn't have anything for that, but I have, three albums that I ended up with multiple copies of somehow. Not the more recent thing where, I keep hitting all these different distros and I forget what I buy and I buy extra albums. These are like straight up, like I'm going through my CDs and I'm like, wait a minute, like I only have one copy of this. Where'd the second one come from? Whether it was I borrowed from a friend or whatever the case, but the third album I can't show because I need that for a later question. But so 2 that I have multiple copies of is Eternus Burning the Shroud.
Oh yeah.
The EP that came out right before Ascension of Terror, which is awesome. It's got my favorite version of Raven Blood on it. And then I don't know why. I have 2 copies of this. I didn't buy either one. The Very Beast of Dio, the fucking Rhino Records compilation, like greatest hits compilation. I have multiple copies of this, and I don't know why or how. Not that I'm complaining, because this has got all it's got all the bangers, so I like it. But this is one of those things where it's like going through my boxes, I go through drawers, and I'm like, this again? What the fuck? Like, so yeah, these two, and then like my third is going to be for a later question.
Cool. I was gonna say, Rick, that would have been interesting if if Tony would have stuck around and George wasn't in the picture. I think they would probably still be as good. But George, I don't know, he rules. All right, let's move on. Reunion, name an artist that you had lost track of over time but reconnected with in 2024. This one for me was kind of a hard question. I had to think a bit for a while, but then I started to think about one of my a record I really dug in 2024. Didn't quite make my list, but it was still could have been in there, as many records could have been, as we can all attest. So Alarum, Eventuality, Australian sort of death thrash band. These guys, I completely forgot about them. They kind of came out around the time that Anata record I showed. These guys are totally like atheist worship kind of stuff. Atheist, early atheist believer, maybe a little bit of cynic in there, but I remember seeing them on tour with Necrophagist when they first came to the States, and Alarum was with them and really impressed me. And I bought the CD, really dug this CD. This was like 2005 or 6. And I think they put another record out after this, and I just lost track of them. And Jeff did a freaking interview with one of these guys, one of the main guys in the band, who's been there since the beginning. I was just like looking at YouTube one day. I was like, holy shit. I talk to Jeff pretty often, but I didn't realize he was doing this interview. I was like, Alarum, I forgot about those guys. Man, they're still around. Holy shit. And actually, they released a record last year, 2024, called Recontinue. And it's really good shit. And so I've kind of reconnected with these guys, and they're kind of doing the same stuff that they were doing back then. Like I said, if you're into just, technical thrash kind of stuff, atheist worship with a bit of fusion kind of thrown in there. Good shit, Alarum. And I wish I had their new record to show, but the only way to get it is from their record store in Australia, and the shipping was like more than the CD. So I was like, fuck, man, I really want to get it. I'll probably get it at some point, as well as their previous one that they had put out that I still haven't checked out. I really dig the new one. It's really good. It's cool to see it, bands. This was a cool question, because it's like, it is cool when you find a band that you haven't really, just lost track of for the longest time. They just completely slip your radar. And these guys have not had any press. They have not really ever been on anybody's radar. I don't think. I don't ever see reviews for them or anything like that. I don't even remember how Jeff kind of came across them, but it was cool. And just seeing this dude again, and good stuff. Alarum, Eventuality. I ended up going back and listening to this, and it's as good as it was then. It's killer stuff. Yeah,
I've never heard that band. that's
you might
neat.
dig it, man.
I'm looking at stuff right now, and it definitely seems up my alley, man. Like Blotted Science and
shit like that.
Aggery as like familiar bands. That's cool.
It's not like overly technical. It's pretty thrashy, and it's cool. They throw these little bits of fusion in there and stuff, but it's cool shit if you like that kind of stuff. What's up, Nate?
This question was tough for me too, honestly. Like I ended up finding only a band where I fell off the wagon for one album versus like years go by. For me, High on Fire. For whatever reason, when Electric Messiah came out, I like listened to the singles and stuff. I was like, maybe I don't really need another High on Fire album. Maybe I'm good. And I just didn't pick it up, didn't really bother checking it out. I was like, this seems like maybe High on Fire by numbers. Maybe High on Fire is not a band that I necessarily need to follow anymore. And honestly, that was up until hearing the singles for Cometh the Storm. Like as soon as I heard Burning Down and the title track as the singles. I was like, what the fuck am I thinking? This stuff is awesome. High on Fire feels like, you know, they got the spark back. There's interesting songwriting. The riffs are there. Matt Pike sounds, you know, vicious. And then I finally went back and checked out Electric Messiah, and you know what? I was wrong. This album is awesome too. It's the singles I don't think are the strongest picks. They're more of like High on Fire by numbers. But when you get to the deeper cuts, like the closing song Drowning Dog, and like the longer opening tracks like Steps of the Ziggurat and Sanctioned Annihilation, there's some really great songs on here. And yeah, I did a High on Fire deep dive with Chris Depeche Commode, who's in the chat, for anyone who's interested. And that was another reason that kind of helped me just, you know, get off my ass and finally check out Electric Messiah and give it the credit that it's due, because great album. And High on Fire is one of those bands I admit I love everything that they've done and will probably continue to do so.
Great live band too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right, Tyler.
So let's see here. Let me read the question again. So I guess I could say these aren't bands I necessarily lost track of, but they're bands I never picked up material for whatever reason. One of them was because like cost, like all their shit was like super expensive. But yes, and both bands released albums this year. So talking about a way to get on track, I guess. So the first one I want to show is Canadian band, Cigar Tear. It's not, I don't think it's like a super long discography, but quite a few albums in the stable. A band I always appreciated, but it was always one of those things where I'd see someone post about an album, or I'd come across in the wild or whatever, and I'd listen to it. And it's like, I'm not in the mood for it. Like, and then I would move on and kind of forget about it. And this album is killer. Like, if I had more spins with it, I think it would have been deep on my list. In the deeper parts, or in the middle part of my list at least. So it's very epic, kind of Bathory-esque type of blackened metal, but with the most absolute like fret shredding solos. Like, it's guitar shred heavy, and I don't remember that on older Cigar Tear albums. But anyway, the next band that I finally bought physical merch from is Kawir from Greece. And like, this is a band that really should be up my alley, and I've liked everything I've heard. But once again, it's one of those things where I come across in the wild and it's like, oh, I need to listen to that. I listen to it and I'm like, I'm not really in the mood for it. And then they get put in the memory banks and I forget about them. So this album rules, and it's absolute blast fest, which I was not expecting from these guys, because I remember them having more epic type of songs. But yeah, every song on this is an absolute bulldozer. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. It's in Greek, but yeah. So Kawir, Cigar Tear, bands have been around for a long time, and I'm finally getting on board with them. So I think I'm gonna explore some of the back catalog again with both these bands now, and probably start piecing together the discography. And I've actually been doing that for a few bands recently.
Both of those bands have been on my back burner for a while, Kawir and Cigar Tear.
Both great bands. There's like, with so much other shit coming out, it's like, oh, I'll come back around. And then years go by and never went back around. And
Kawir is pretty prolific too, right? Like, they have I feel like they do a good job of releasing an album every 2 years.
Yeah, but they've been doing it since like the late 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, it's like so the discography is a little albums. It's a little dense. So But yeah, that new Kawir though is like I said, I remember the older stuff being like I said, a little more epic. I mean, there's blasty moments or whatever, but that shit is a blast fest, and it's like an hour-long album. It's pretty intense listen.
All right,
Eric, you're right.
All right. Let's see. Number 13, Upstart. Name a new band whose debut album really impressed you. The debut didn't have to come out in 2024, but recently. Tyler, I wanted to show that Rita Sointu, but it has not arrived yet. I'm hoping it's going to be here in the next day or two.
Oh, dude.
That record's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Really digging that. I had to pull something to show, so I'll show it. But Rita Sointu is a band on Naturmacht Productions, which is the early like Grima stuff. Have a Krunu, a lot of Finnish and bands on there. But Rita Sointu put it in the chat here. People go check it out if you're into Have a Krunu, especially. And they're quite different. But they kind of have that sort of hybrid approach to their black metal with folk, and like there's punk rock and just all this kind of crazy stuff thrown into the blender, and it's done really, really well. It was a record that I think Tyler showed, and I think Russ showed on our year-end list in 2024. But one record I did pick for debut record I really, really dug. It's a band called Noltum. This is atmospheric black metal, very, very much in the vein of Agalok. Logan, have you heard of this one?
Yes, I actually have that one. Was that 2022? It made my year-end list when it came out. I don't own it, but it was
okay. So you know it, This is awesome, man. I mean, it's when I say it's like Agalok, I mean it is, but I mean it's really, really good. Early Agalok kind of sounding stuff, just almost kind of like easy listening, atmospheric black metal. Very, very easy and light and easy to get into, and just beautiful, just awesome guitar melodies and passages. And I don't want to say it's like post kind of vibe, sort of, but even Aaron from Nechachwan appears on here. The drummer of this band is now the drummer for Majesties, which is Tanner's new melodic death metal band. Tanner and the guy from Enigma, Carl from Enigma and Antisphere. The drummer for this band, I think he's their live drummer now, because I don't think they actually had a drummer for that first record on Majesties, but now they're gonna be moving forward with this guy. But I don't know if this is a one and done, or if hopefully, I really hope they release something else.
Which band is that?
What's that?
What band is that?
They're called Noltum, Noltem. John Kerr. Yeah, John Kerr is the drummer. Thanks, Marty. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of in that sort of maybe Cascadian vein of black metal kind of stuff.
Okay.
Came out on that. What's that?
No, I'm just saying. Okay, like I think I remember you showing that, or someone showed that kind of recently. Maybe that was.
I might have shown it like on a.
I recognize that cover.
I know it was like, I mean, this was like what, 4 years ago when it came out or whatever. So it was, I think it was on my year-end list as well that year when I first started doing year-end lists, because for the channel and stuff. But yeah, really cool vinyl variant, kind of worth showing. This cool little purpley splatter thing. Transcending Obscurity Records is where this came out on, which is interesting because I don't too familiar with that label. It's a lot of death metal and kind of just oddball kind of stuff. I think it's like the only like sort of black metal-ish kind of project. Great cover art, but yeah, there was I think there was an EP before this. Is that? No, it was just an EP before this, right, Marty? I think this was the debut. I'm pretty sure, but maybe I'm wrong.
Says it was an EP in 2015.
Yeah, there was that EP, and then they put this one. But yeah, I don't. I'll probably have to pick that up from you, Marty. But anyway, yeah, if you're into early Agalok kind of stuff, Falls of Raros, the Cascadian shit, Panopticon, things like this. Great record that kind of got slept on, I think. And I actually spun it today. I was like, God damn, it was so good. Just good melodies and just good, really good, just tasteful, very, just emotive playing throughout this thing. So yeah, Noltum. Hopefully they release something else. We'll see.
I need to check that out.
I think you'd like it for sure.
Yeah, that's a cool pick. I didn't realize that John Kerr guy is pretty prolific. He does drums and vocals on that, and he's was the sole guy behind Marsh Dweller, which came out on Iowa's Recordings, which is Jim from
band too.
But yeah. Cool how it's all interconnected. Look at that. Yeah, dude, my debut album is from last year, 2024. My favorite debut, some just straight up nasty New Jersey death metal with it's a bit adventurous too. We're talking Trog, keeping it simple. Horrors Beyond. Just tour de force of what old school elements of death metal could sound like in a modern band. Really, like it feels old school, but at the same time it's slicker. There's more ambitious songwriting. They don't really try to stick with any one trope. Like they really go. They don't necessarily tread new ground, but they're not like just a clone of a band. Trog sound unique here. They create unique songs that are definitely not just another iteration of Incantation or Morbid Angel. This is cool modern death metal, which stands out from the pack. Also, I believe it features an ex-YouTuber Guttural Monk on here. If you guys remember that guy.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember his name or what.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, but great YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure he's on here. But yeah, definitely recommend this Trog album if you need some, death metal, which is kind of going its own path in the modern sphere of things. If anything, check out the final song on here, Ontological Shock. It's got a great, just almost progressive style of songwriting, and at the very end, it brings on these like keys and just well-written track and kind of a good inclination of what else is on the album. And look, Marty and Devin has got my back. It's Pete, the guttural monk, who I guess is vocals. Sick.
Yeah, he had a channel for a while, and I think he still posts. He still posts on Instagram every now and then.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't think he's done any videos in a while.
I think the channel might be gone too, because I was looking for it the other day just to confirm, and I could not find it. I was like, YouTube searching guttural monk, and it was just Tibetan throat singing monks the whole time that popped up. No metal monks, unfortunately.
All
right, Tyler.
So Jimmy, you might actually remember this one. This was actually my number one album of 2022, and that's the Eldritch. I Shall Raise My Burning Sword. So this dude released 2 albums in 2022, and then haven't seen hide or hair of this guy, but UK based band, one-man band, very Finnish inspired black metal, but with like a really nice punk undertone. Like the bass playing on this is straight up punk rock, like it's very sharp, like very defined, and like offers a lot of counter melodies to the guitars. But I don't know what it was about this, but yeah, I remember talking to Jimmy and the other hiking metal guys. I was blowing this up. I was like, you guys need to listen to this. And I was very insistent about it. And yeah, lo and behold, it ended up my number one album of 2022. But yeah, UK black metal, but presented in a very Finnish style with a very nice punk streak throughout. So I still listen to it. I still pull it out and listen to it fairly often.
Yeah.
Great album. But yeah, just a single kind of a dorky dude putting out some quality shit.
I forgot about that record. That is a really good album. If anybody,
Yeah.
Eldritch.
And like I said, he came out with the second album, this one here, and it wasn't the same. It was a lot. I mean, you can kind of see it on the cover, like it was a lot more visceral and just a lot meaner, but it just wasn't the same. It didn't have that same real cool vibe, and I don't know. It didn't catch my ear the same way that the first album did. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that he kind of comes out with another album, because I would say that this was the sophomore slump. So they say. But yeah, Eldritch, man, super
Terrible
good
tunesy.
Yeah. And then he had another project too. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a little more on the polished, almost symphonic side, and it was absolutely killer as well. Again, he released that kind of in the same time frame. So I think it was kind of a result of I think it was like a COVID thing. Like he started writing music and writing these albums in like 2020, and then recorded them all and put them all out.
All right. Influencer. Show a band release you bought in 2024 as a direct result of watching someone's YouTube channel. I didn't actually buy these in 2024, but this was all a direct result of everybody's year-end lists, and I've got some new stuff in. So just a couple of things. This Dodsrit with Nocturnal Will. I think Marty showed this at one point, and Tyler, I remember you were talking about this. Excellent, man. Fucking so good. Just melodic black metal, melodic atmospheric, a little punky, a little sort of, like there's a raw edge to them, even though the music isn't raw, but like there's just, you can tell that these guys are like into, kind of just, maybe like hardcore, punk kind of stuff. From what I've read, this is a little bit more further away from that, but I think the spirit is kind of still there with this. Really, really good shit. I love this album.
That was yeah, I showed that on Jeff's 24 stream. That was my number.
Right. Okay. That's
number 12.
I remember.
11.
Yeah, I remember it was on.
It didn't quite crack the top 10, but it was up there.
Yeah. I remember it was. I must have seen that, and then I know Marty and somebody else showed it as well. But it was.
Yep.
But yeah, really, really good stuff. And you'll like this one, Tyler. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but this just came in today. I was very happy to get this. Was the Hurtkos or.
Yes.
And fuck, this is so good, man. I mean, if anybody's familiar with Vedrugi Viator, I guess, or it looks like Vedrugi Viator. If you look at it and try to pronounce it, I think it's Vedrugi Viator, but Polish band, great atmospheric black metal band. This is like one of the guys from that band. This is his new project. And it's very much in the vein of that stuff. And I got to tell you, I might even like this more than Vedrugi Viator. It's just it's a little more black metal. Than as much as I like Vedrugi Viator, the last record, I love it a lot. It's just so like atmospheric. Like they kind of got away a little bit from the black metal. And this one kind of feels like I don't know, it's just a nice balance with that kind of stuff. But it's really cool. Werewolf Productions, really, but still highly atmospheric black metal from Poland. I love the booklet is just really cool as well. Man, there's just so many cool.
That booklet is thick too.
Just like artwork, really thick stock card. But yeah, this one after you guys, you talk, you and Russ both talked this one up, and as soon as you said the WW band, I was like, oh yeah, I got to check that out. And I loved it. Just got it in, and so killer. So if you like that band, definitely check it out.
Yeah, dude, that is so good.
It's really good. I like it a lot. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me, like I said, well, I said it during our stream. It sits in between WW and the Ockles, that the main dude from the band. Mm-hmm. Like it sits in that pocket between the two.
Yeah. It's got a little bit more harshness that I wanted, from Vedrugi Viator. So yeah, but it's great recommend, dude. But that one and Dodsrit, really killer. stuff. So
hell yeah.
Logan.
All right. Yeah, for me, gotta mention something that I was turned on to because of the Heavy Metallurgy album club. It's been so cool being able to do that and really have my eyes opened up with some of these records. That latest Evoken would be the latest example.
Love that record.
Hypnagogia. Yeah. I haven't purchased it yet, but it is on the list. That was actually a Callan pick, and this was also a Callan pick from later in the summer. Scythian with Hubris in Excelsius, and this is a band like I was familiar with the album cover, but just never checked it out. Just it was always one of those. Probably I just assumed it wasn't anything like special, but after visiting it on the album club, I was proven wrong. This thing it's epic. It's like it's got like that thrash metal trope, but then at the same time it has these bombastic like Bathory-esque moments of from like Nordland era, or like, and especially like in the vocal melodies that he chooses, and there's just a thematic quality to it. So it's like it's from that UK scene that was responsible for, what is the band I'm thinking of? Craven Idol. So it's like all Craven Idol, except if they were mixed with a little bit more of that Bathory style, in addition to some like chunkier, thrashier riffs. So yeah. And
I missed
this
that one.
Yeah, check it out. This is awesome. I was able to find it for a great price. I haven't picked up that Hibria album yet, Marty. Still working on that one.
So Scythia, you said?
Or
Scythia?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I ran to the bathroom real quick as I could.
An art form sneaking that in.
Yeah. Well, luckily I have a bathroom like right here. So, I'm running a show. I could just real quick. So cool, man. I got to check that one out. I don't know.
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
good, man.
Nice. Oh, they're on Hell's Headbangers.
Yep.
Oh. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Especially when you say like Nordland era, like, or that style, like Bathory, like atmosphere and vocals. I'm like, okay.
Kind of in the vocals and a little bit in the atmosphere, but definitely mainly think of like the thrashier instrumentation from like a Craven Idol or Ares Kingdom kind of band,
Okay. Nice. All right. So I'm only going to show one because this is one that popped up a lot in all sorts of different streams all throughout the year. And honestly, like this honestly could have been a band in the prior question about, a band you kind of fell out of touch with and, you came back around to. And I know Marty was raving about it, Melanie, Jeff, fucking everyone, but the latest Borknagar.
Oh yeah.
Fucking great album. Matter of fact, this and the Winter Thrice, both. I picked both those up because of you guys talking about it on streams and whatever. And I was like, been sleeping on it. I've been sleeping on these guys for a little while. So, but yeah, this, I mean, what is there to say? Like, ICS Vortex back on vocals, and of course he just absolutely wrecks house. Fucking amazing. And then I think Marty was saying that Summits, was it Marty that was saying that Summits is like one of the best opening tracks in their like entire discography?
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, I agree. That track right there, I was like, okay, I need to get this. Now the rest of it was just proggy enough where actually, Well, because like you guys know, like my lists are always just very, very black metal centric, and this was like proggy enough that it kind of I didn't feel right putting it on a black metal list because I don't truly think this is a black metal album. It's got black metal influence, but I don't think it's a black metal album. But I don't care. It's still a friggin' awesome album. So, but yeah, really, really, really good stuff, and that's all thanks to all the streams that I watched, like just talking this up and convinced me to go out and pick it up. And Winter Thrice.
Oh, Winter Thrice is awesome. The middle of that album with Moon and is it Afar? Those are my two favorite songs on that one.
Yeah, I felt like Summits to me like takes me back to early Vortex Borknagar. That's there's moments in there that sound like Archaic Horse, you know. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say Erd. You know, if you love the Vortex stuff, Erd is great. Winter Thrice, and I thought True North was great as well. I mean, really, they've been kind of on a upward trajectory, you know, since the much, you know, sort of, you know, the Wintersorg era that was, you know, kind of hit or miss for people. But personally, I liked it. But yeah, I mean, the newer stuff is they're just putting out great records still, you know. Yeah, Frostbite, that one. Yeah, that's the best song on there. That's
one I've been meaning to pick up anyway.
Yeah, get that one. That's yeah, I liked Erd and Winter Thrice because it just had all the vocalists, you know.
That's right.
I liked Wintersorg stuff too, you know, and even though, you know, some of the records they put out were not as good with Wintersorg, but
well, I think Wintersorg is a little more limited as a vocalist. That's probably why.
Yeah, he did kind of have a
He has a style, and I mean, I love Wintersorg. Like the early Wintersorg albums are some of my favorite, like kind of pagan-y themed types of albums, like Till Fjalls and all those. So yeah, I love Wintersorg.
Yeah, I guess he came into the band when they were sort of, it's not like they were going for like a commercial thing or anything. I think they just kind of, you know, they went into a more polished, clean kind of sound at that time. It didn't really kind of work out how, you know, I guess it just works better with Vortex. I don't know, with what they're doing now. But yeah, whatever. It's great stuff. Yeah, I love that new Borknagar. Hope they tour the US again. All right, don't judge 15. Don't judge a book by its cover. Show a great album with bad cover art. Yeah. I picked Dan Swano's solo record, Moon Tower. Because this is a fucking great record, man. It's probably my favorite Dan Swano record. Out of anything he's done. As a Sanity, you know, he did some great stuff with you know, his Witherscape project, Bloodbath, all this kind of shit. But you know, this is kind of like a one-off album for Dan Swano. It's kind of like taking Edge of Sanity like to the next level. You know, to me, this is like a Rush with death metal vocals in a way. It's a lot of synthesizer, but goddamn, the songs are so good, and his vocals are just amazing. But just, you know, I mean, when Dan Swano sits down and really just gets into it, he can write some amazing stuff. And this record, it's just, yeah, I kind of felt like the Witherscape stuff was sort of taking this to another level in a way. But yeah, the cover art really leaves a lot to be desired. It's, if you can't really tell, it's sort of like an eyeball or an eye, you know, the pupil of an eye, you know, zoomed in. I guess it's kind of cool. I don't know, but it's just with the grandiosity of this album, I just feel like they, you know, he could have maybe come up with something a little bit better, especially calling it Moon Tower. I don't know. It just feels like there could have been, you know, some amazing Travis Smith or Paulo Giraldi, you know, album artwork. I don't think Paulo was doing stuff at the time. I mean, this is, you know, came out shit, I don't even know what year. It's early 2000s, I think. I mean, it's Black Mark. I mean, I think I don't even remember where I bought this. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a good record if you're into the Swano stuff. You know, anything that he does solo wise. But yeah, could have done a little bit better with not only the cover art but the logo as well. It's just not a whole lot to it. So, you know, maybe the back cover might have even been better. Not that it's that much better, but man, the song Uncreation, the third track on this, God, so good. Amazing solos and just amazing record, man. Yeah, I don't know if it's been repressed in a while, Rick, or if it's hard to get, but he did a better job with artwork on Witherscape. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, my pick, I guess, is also not necessarily bad. Like, I wouldn't say that Moon Tower is like a bad one because it's not like offensively bad, but it's just underwhelming. And
underwhelming. Yeah.
This is definitely another example of that. I actually went with an Abigor album. They got a bunch of underwhelming album covers, and I mean, I can even tell what album this is. This is just this is the Black Cube album, you know? When you look up, even not with the glare, just like it in front of me, I can barely see it, but this is what? Time is the sulfur in the veins of the saint. One of their more recent ones, when I say recent, I mean it's from like 2005 or something like that. And this is an out there Abigor album. Like, this is a somewhat 2010 is when this came out. This is almost like I hear parts of this album which make me think of Primus. Like, there's like some bass heavy sections that really just catch you off guard, in addition to the regular Abigor craziness, but they get a little avant-garde on here. So it's a weird album, and honestly, you just, if you saw, I found this, you know, at a record store and had no idea what the fuck it was, and didn't realize it was an Abigor album until after I purchased it. This was on a dollar shelf, probably because the owner of the record store didn't know what it was, because it's just a black box. So
holy shit,
definitely.
So I mean, is it one of those deals where the cover, like the booklet, actually has the cover art, or is it all black?
It's just all black, man. Like, here's the art on the booklet.
Oh wow.
Holy shit!
Come
dude.
on, like it's a greenish hue, and there's text on it, but you can't even fucking read the thing. I don't know what they were thinking with it. They weren't trying to sell records or CDs. I'll tell you that much.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Because usually, like Abigor, I mean, you're right. Like, a few of their covers are kind of underwhelming. Like the original cover for Satanized is.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the same.
Opus,
it's kind of
Opus
the same
4.
era as the album I'm going to be showing, and you guys already know where I'm going to be going with this, because every time people talk about bad album art and bad covers.
Oh my god! Yeah,
dude.
Absolutely.
Look at this piece of shit fucking album art. But so it's not the early Aeternus. So, but this has probably some of my favorite Aeternus songs, but it's not the early Aeternus. It's not the super dense atmospheric stuff. This is when they were making the transition towards being more of a death metal band. But man, like Under the Eternal Blackened Sky, The Summoning of Shadows, Kukulane, Dark Rage. Well, they re-recorded Dark Rage, and it fits. This album fucking rules, but like, who's gonna buy this? Like, who's gonna, other than name recognition for the band Aeternus, who's actually gonna buy this? Like, fucking. But I keep bringing up the inner band photos because the album art is awful. But this is what takes the cake for me. It is
oh my god,
bad, dude. It is so bad. but I'll be damned if this doesn't have some of Eternus's best songs. Keeping in mind, again, it's not the super dense, classic early stuff. But yeah, dude, like, so this is also on Hammerheart. But these guys, fucking Napalm, all these guys at this time frame, like the late 90s, early 2000s, were just, they discovered Photoshop. They discovered, like, you know, computer generated album art, and they went to town. Like, I could have shown, actually, another album I personally really like a lot is actually the last Obtained Enslavement album, The Shepherd and the Hounds of Hell. Now, that album is not a true Obtained Enslavement album, but it is a good quality black metal album. But that album art, you know, but that was a Napalm thing where it was, you know, they would do the kind of the risque photos, like they would show a little boob in the cover, and, you know, just to make it more, I don't know, sexually appealing, I guess. But that's another album that I could have picked. That it was a good album, but the album art just absolutely blew. But yeah, dude, this, I will forever and always, when people talk about bad album art hiding good albums, I will always show this album.
What was that band with the album Backdoor something or other?
Black Door. That was Ragnarok. Norway's Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Black Door Miracle.
That's that's the ultimate of
gun,
that cover.
Well, that cover, I'd have to hide part of it because there's the chick, she's doing things with a toy on the cover.
Yeah.
But it's intermixed amongst the flames and the shitty photo collage. But that album fucking rips. That's probably the best Ragnarok album musically.
That's fun.
But
I've never heard it.
Yeah, that album art is fucking garbage too. But like I said, all those labels back at that time, and I always say this, I've said it in every comment, I always say that time was a lawless era for cover art because everyone discovered, you know, like I said, the computer generated, you know, be it Photoshop or whatever other photo programs. And yeah, Rick, that's exactly what that Eternus album looks like. Actually, even worse. So they reissued that album recently, but it's just the shitty fucking CGI flames or Photoshop flames. It doesn't even have the band photo on it anymore. I saw that and I just like, I facepalmed. I was like, really? That's the best that they could do for that reissue?
That's a good one.
But I'm telling you, but don't sleep on that album musically speaking. Musically speaking, it is a fucking phenomenal album. It's probably the one I listen to the most, honestly, out of their catalog.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rembrandt, show an album whose cover art was created by one of your favorite artists. For this one, I sort of hijacked the question a little bit because, you know, we could all show stuff that's pretty obvious, but so I just chose to show just something that's just killer. I don't know who the artist is. I don't even think there was an artist, but Pungent Stench, Been Caught Buttering. This is just iconic artwork. And, you know, whoever designed this, I think from what I understand, it was just one head and they swapped it around and cut it together and made it look like they were kissing. But I don't know. It's just one of those cover arts that's always like kind of stops you in your track and you're just like, what the hell? I mean, just like I did in 9th grade when I bought this at Camelot or whatever it was. Still got the parental advisory, as if you really needed that looking at the cover art and you didn't really know that. Probably not for the weak-minded, but yeah, Been Caught Buttering, probably the finest album from this Austrian group. I always liked how they their logo, they alphabetized the whole logo, but the cassette original, so if you look at the lyrics, and you won't be able to really tell. Obviously, these guys just did not give a fuck at all.
Oh, they alphabetized the song list?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so like they took the logo, like the way they the logo sorry, the way that they drew the logo, they took every letter and with the lyrics.
Oh.
Like they used the logo imprint on all the letters. It's kind of hard to tell.
I see. Okay.
But it was just, you have to look at it close to really kind of be able to tell. But it's like, even small print, it looks just like the logo. I always thought that was just really interesting and cool how they did that. It's still one of those like classic death metal records, still sick as hell and just completely obscene, and probably as obscene as you could get in those days, like with all the stuff that they were trying to do like in the early 90s with death metal and stuff. But I don't know, it's just one of those iconic covers that I've never grown tired of looking at in a way. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite artist, but if this guy's done anything else, it's probably out there and it's probably amazing. So
nice. Well, I did go with one of my favorite artists of the past decade, and he's actually since passed a couple of years back, and went with my favorite album cover from him, and had to do Maurice Lewandowski. I always got to look up how to pronounce his name, but this is, of course, Bellwich's Mirror Reaper. Big fan of this album. I think this is a perfect album. It's not one I'll listen to and pull off the shelf all the time, but when I do, it always leaves a lasting impact. And the album cover is just the perfect for it. Enticing. It makes you want to listen to it. It's one of the coolest album covers, period. And I think especially of like the last decade or so. And it really launched him as a artist for, metal bands. Like, he really was the flavor of the week there for a little bit up until his passing, and really through his passing. And even now you still see his artwork on, metal album covers. But absolutely love this thing. Got the LP, got it on a shirt, and of course I got a flag back there adorning the wall. So yeah, absolutely love this artwork.
That's funny. I almost picked. I was almost going to pick that Atramentus record, which is the same artist.
Yep.
But that, you're right. That's the one that really put him on the map, and that's really amazing because you could tell that's all painted and just really just classic stuff. That's really one of the. That is a great cover art. That Mirror Reaper record, great record.
Oh
too.
Yeah.
Would you pick, Tyler?
All right, Kat, I have to put you down, Mr. Snuggle here. Hold that thought. Anyway, so this is one of the albums from the earlier question about albums that, well, it was that boomerang question where the albums, you purged out and they came back to your collection. This is another album that I ended up with multiple copies of for whatever reason. But as far as fantasy art goes, you got to go with the Manowar with Ken Kelly.
That is a sick album cover. Oh yeah.
So this is cool, but then you unfurl the whole damn thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's fucking badass. I mean, it's a guy who painted like Kiss covers back in the day, and then all the Manowar covers. And like, what I liked about this, there's just like little small details, like, down on the bottom here, the guy in the bottom there with holding the whip, that there's references to different songs on here. So the Demon's Whip, over here, the guy on the dragon, let's ride the dragon, et cetera, et cetera. So I just like the little details like that on this album. But Yeah, man. Ken Kelly artwork, and you can pretty much pick any of the Manowar covers with Ken Kelly artwork, and it's going to be both cheesy and awesome.
Hell yeah. All right, we're getting down to the end here, so we'll kind of speed through them. But name an album that you would like to see reissued on vinyl or CD, your preferred medium. So this one came up while Jeff was here in town for Decibel. He was hanging out down here with me and Sarah, my wife, and we were. It was the. I'm sure you guys have heard the story about the first night that he was here, and he got absolutely wasted. And I was telling him to. We gotta turn in. We got a long weekend, but we were down here slamming records, and I don't remember how this came up, and I hadn't even thought about it in a while, but glad it did because it was just really awesome listening to it again. Was Frederick Thorndahl's Special Defects, Soul Niger Within. This is lead guitarist of the band Meshuggah. And this was his solo record. Meshuggah was a band I was really big into early 2000s. Still a big fan, but I've kind of like sort of fallen off of the band a bit, because I'm still more into the early kind of Meshuggah stuff. This was released probably around the time that Chaosphere came out, when they really started to go like uber dissonant. But this is, very much like in the spirit of Meshuggah, like with polyrhythmic kind of songwriting, that they're notable for. But Thorndahl was really big into like fusion and Alan Holdsworth kind of stuff, and he had been working on this record for a long time and wasn't quite what Meshuggah was doing. And it's basically just like it's just like a big one song split up into like 25 movements kind of thing. And God damn, it's so good. Jeff happened to mention it, and I was like, man, I got that. I went and grabbed the CD. We put it on. We listened to the whole thing. And I was just like, God, I forgot how good this is. And Jeff was on his phone, like just looking for a copy because he wanted. This is not, like the CDs go for a ridiculous amount, because I think it had like 2 pressings. In the early 2000s, and then come to find out, and I didn't even know this, but it was pressed on vinyl like about 10 years ago or something like that on some label that I've never heard of. Long sold out really quickly. All those vinyls are going for ridiculous price. But goddamn, if you can, somebody please reissue this album. Thorndahl was supposed to do a follow-up with this, Special Defects Part 2. In fact, I remember reading that Dirk Verburen was doing the drumming on it. This one has Morgan Agron doing the drums, who's an amazing, insane drummer.
Dude, that dude's a fucking beast.
Ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, like, he's done, I forgot like what he was really known for in his world, because he's not a metal guy. He's a fusion guy, but he did some Devin Townsend stuff, and just amazing drummer. It was him on drums. Thorndahl, of course, does a lot of music. Actually, I think Thomas Hockey did the vocals, which is like, and the vocals are killer, just amazing. Quite different from the Meshuggah vocals. And then it ends like with this. This one actually had a bonus track called Missing Time, which is just like pure fusion. And it's all like like UFO and like alien worship kind of stuff. It's really, really fits the music well. God damn, it's so good. I just fucking forgot about how good this was. But yeah, Jeff ended up finding a CD copy, and I think he paid a pretty penny, like $40 or $50. I think he was like holding out for a vinyl or like one of the first press CDs, and he like slept on it. And then while he was here, he picked up a copy. He even sent me a picture of it. But yeah, it's badly in need of some love, and should not be a forgotten record. And I don't know if he'll ever come out with part 2, unfortunately. But yeah, somebody please press that record again.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm trying to share my screen right now, Jimmy. It should be down below to like present. If you can.
There we go.
All right. So this band right here is called Obscure Sphinx, and They are from the Ukraine, I think. Should look that up. But I found these guys back out with this album. Void Mother came out in 2013. They are like post metal, but a very dramatic and just epic brand of post metal. Lady singing, and she is phenomenal. She's got a absolutely powerful, crushing voice. She can do these like, spine chilling screams, but then also these beautiful, cleanly sung vocals. And this music it gives me chills listening to it. And of course, like when I first got into this band, they had CDs available for like $5-10, and I didn't pick it up. I should have. And sure enough, they haven't done a single. They haven't done a single repress at all. And I've just been waiting, and I've reached out to the band, and they're like, "We're not planning on it. Like, we'll do small runs for our local shows, but nothing for anyone elsewhere." And I've been like checking on eBay, checking on Discogs, can't find anything. Void Mother is their best album. Epitaph's the one that came out in 2016. Is just also near as good. And then if you're looking for a 2025 release to check out, this Emovir album, or it's actually an EP, 30 minutes, great epic songs, highly recommended. But you probably won't be able to buy it on physical, so that kind of sucks. But great band that I highly recommend. That wish would get some physical, physical media out there. I think that would help their brand for sure. Their recognition.
Cover art was amazing.
Yeah. Have you heard of them, Jimmy? They
No, I haven't.
Up your alley.
I dabble in
like that
stuff.
post metal stuff, and it's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, it's haunting.
I'm gonna put that on my list. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
Definitely that
really
Void
cool.
Void Mother album is what I would recommend. And if anything,
which one?
Void Mother, the one with the
Void Mother, yeah,
crazy-eyed chick. I'll put it in a private chat. But the closing song on that, Presence of Goddess, is like a god tier song.
Sweet.
I put a couple links in the private chat.
Okay, I'll share those as well.
Yeah. So you just do them in order, and I'll talk about.
Let's see.
And these are both new albums from this year, but the labels they're on, or the labels they're involved with, they won't do anything other than cassette, which I might have to just break down and buy cassettes, I guess. But as we talked about earlier, but yeah, the first album I wanted to talk about that I would love to see a CD version of, the Russian black metal band. The name translates to Star Temple, but it's absolute, like super raw, like Blazebirth Hall worship as far as sound goes. And it's absolutely stellar. Like, this is like, if you go through the deeper parts of like social media, and like a lot of the Instagram pages I follow have this on their like top 10 list for the year. And it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, when it comes to like the super raw black metal, like I don't like all of it, but when it's done right, like I really like it. And bands like this do it right, and I really like it because they use that raw production that really produce that atmosphere. But yeah, like I said, if you're into that kind of old Blazebirth Hall, like kind of middle era Forest or bands like that, then that album is highly worth checking out. And then the second album on talk about, I think it was on near the top of Russ's year-end list, and that's that Conifer from Quebec. So if you want to pull that one up.
Hold on a second. I lost my mouse.
Uh-oh.
No, keep talking. I'll plug it in. It's going to take a second.
Anyway, so it's not this album, but it's Conifere. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it because it's in Quebecois, but it's Quebec black metal, and there's like a little bit of kind of a punk undertone to it. But again, it's another album that popped up in a lot of year-end lists for people. Let's see here. I'll put it in the chat, the name of the band. Yeah, Eric, it is Russian as all get out for sure. Marty, you weren't going to be able to read the name of that band because it's all in Russian, but it translates to Star Temple. But yeah, this is one a bunch of people have been showing this one. And again, just super melodic, super fast paced, kind of punk infused Quebec black metal. And this and the 2 EPs prior to it are just absolutely god tier, quite honestly. But yeah, I might have to break down and order cassettes and just, like I said, just figure out a way to play cassettes. Yeah, I'll do that, Marty. I'll send you a message through the Discord server. But yeah. See, I think it was Russ. I think Russ had that near the top of his list for the year. You're on mute, Jimmy.
Yep. I remember Russ was showing this. Yep.
Yeah, he was real high on it, and I was very stoked when he pulled it up, and I was like, yes, that is a really, really, really awesome album.
Sweet.
But yeah, both of those, if someone picked them up and did a CD pressing, I would be a very happy camper.
Apologies for the short technical difficulty, but I think I'm good now. Yep. Rick will hook you up. Right.
Sweet. I mean, if you want to pay that much in shipping, then by all means, dude.
Let's go find one of those vintage stores around. I'm sure there's one somewhere. Just get you.
I
cheap.
I can go to
There's got to be a
Village.
tape deck in Alaska.
I would say I'll go to Value Village or Goodwill, and there's like a million of them.
Oh yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see where we're at. Name. All right, we're getting down. 18. Name an album from a genre that you typically do not listen to very much. Shit. Where is it? I don't listen to. I'm just, I'm not really a traditional heavy metal, like just epic heavy metal kind of guy. It's just not my bag. I don't know. I mean, like I try to with a lot of stuff. A lot of it. A lot of people love this shit. And it's just like when it comes to things like Candlemass and like that whole realm and just Man-O-War, like just all these the big epic heavy metal kind of stuff. Like I appreciate it, but it's just not my cup of tea. It never has been. Every now and then a band comes through and I dig it. And this one, everybody's talked about it like ad nauseum last year, but the Crypt Sermon, and this is probably pretty easy listening when it comes to that sort of realm kind of stuff. Like for example, one of the times I was on Metallurgy, Alan was sending me some links for, I think it was like Megaton Sword or shit, and I can't remember.
That sounds right.
Is that it? Maybe was something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or there was another one. There was Atlantic Codex. I remember he was showing that.
Yeah.
And he was really, man, everything he said about it, I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. And he sent me like a download link, and I went and checked it out. And I thought it was really good. Don't get me wrong. It's just that stuff is just not my cup of tea. I don't know. It just doesn't really hit me the same way I think it does for him. Not to say that Crypt Sermon sounds anything like that, but I think that they're just kind of in that sort of the epic heavy metal kind of realm. Every now and then, like something comes through, like Eternal Champion I really like. But even that kind of stuff, when I found something I really like, it's not like really something I'd listen to a whole lot, but this is a band that I think really, is obviously doing it really awesome. And it's a fantastic, amazing record. And I feel like, it could maybe kind of open a new, a new bridge for me to kind of delve into that stuff. I just don't know how far I want to go to it. So it's, for a genre that I don't listen to very much, I really love the hell out of this record. Just saw them play at Decibel. They were awesome live. And I don't know, there was just something about, it's weird for me because like, I like melodic stuff. So how can I not like things like Atlanta and Codex? And, there's a lot of great melodic stuff going on and all that stuff, but I don't know what it is, at the end of the day, you like what you like, and what hits you, and for some reason that genre just has yet to really pull me in. But Crip Sermon did a great job with this stuff, and really enjoy this. Yeah, great stuff. And I understand that this is kind of more in a little bit more of a heavy metal realm, whereas the older stuff is kind of doomy kind of shit. And I've got their older CDs that I just haven't really totally deep dived on, but because again, it's just usually just not my jam. But yeah, I still think it's great. And for people that love that stuff, that's awesome. Everybody has, the subgenres that they really dig and what really hits them. I'm always kind of like the type of guy that I like a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? Like I always find like I like every single subgenre, a little bit of it, just not like a huge influx of it. But that's one of the subgenres that kind of ranks a little bit lower for me, so.
After hearing you talk about Sabaton, I actually would not have guessed that. Is that
well?
Sabaton, I vaguely remember that. So
yeah, but that's more power metal though. That's not like epic heavy metal. I mean, like power metal. I'm definitely now
that's
power metal. Like I only dabble in power metal a little bit as well. But yeah, I wouldn't consider Sabaton like that sort of epic heavy metal. They're straight power metal. Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, for me with this one, I went entirely outside of metal for this. More singer-songwriter, actually. PJ Harvey. You guys heard of her?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
This is her 2000 album, I believe. Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. I mean, she kind of treads a lot of ground on this album. She does sound like that singer-songwriter, like, her and acoustic guitar at times, but then also some of these tracks sound like, just like heavy grunge music practically. Like just her vocals are like powerful and haunting, and some of the time she kind of sounds like she started to tread the ground that like Emma Ruth Rundle and Chelsea Wolfe and Anna von Hauswolf will end up treading in the next like decade or two. So I've over the past couple years have really gotten into PJ Harvey, this album, and then some of the ones that have come before it, like Nick just mentioned, "Rid of Me" in the chat, that one as well. So yeah, I do enjoy stuff that's not metal for sure as well, and this is great stuff. Great album.
Hell yeah. So for this question, I went way outside the realm for me. Well, not really. It's just, back in the day, years ago, I was like, well, mostly when the music stores were open. So I was always sampling different things, trying new things. And I got into like some industrial stuff for a while. But this one I pulled off the shelf and I listened to again. I hadn't listened to in a while. So when did this come out? I think it came out like late 90s. But anyway, it's an industrial band called Cubanate. And the name of the album is Barbarossa. And I mean, for the time, this is kind of best way to describe it. It's industrial, but it's not that real harsh. It's not like Skinny Puppy. It's more like your real dancey type stuff, like thinking like the more dancey moments from maybe Ministry a little bit, like Nine Inch Nails, but it's really guitar driven, like really driving, bass heavy. The vocals are distorted. There's distorted guitars layered over it. Kind of abrasive at times. Other times it would work in a club kind of thing. But yeah, it's one of those things. So I don't know, guys. Actually, I don't know if Borders Books and Music are still have stores anywhere anymore. But yeah, there you go. Because I have this and I have one of the other albums, and I picked them up at Borders Books and Music way back in the day before they shut down. But yeah, I listened to this again just a couple days ago, and I was very pleasantly surprised that I still very much enjoyed it. But yeah, I feel like the more kind of obscure, like dancey industrial stuff, then yeah, I would check this out. But yeah, the way Eric describes it is absolutely spot on.
All right. Let's see. Number 19. What band do you hope to see live in 2025? There's quite a few for me. But just looking forward to going to MDF hopefully this year to see Unleashed. This is like one of my bucket list bands that I've never gotten to see before. Unleashed Across the Open Sea, probably my favorite one next to the first two. They're still around, still releasing records that are pretty good, but just the first like 4 or 5 records are kind of, just hard to beat in terms of Swedish death metal for me. Last year, going to MDF was Dismember. That was a bucket list, and it was a great night. So kind of hoping to repeat that with Unleashed this year and see these guys, as we talked about earlier, was Evoken. They're kind of one of the big pulls for me to MDF. This is probably my favorite Evoken record, Atra Moors. All the Evoken stuff is great, and they all Logan, you guys did a great album club on the Hypnagogia, which I love that record as well. But this one's probably my favorite. But they don't really play live too often, and so even though the cool thing about going to MDF is usually going to check out all the exclusive stuff that's European bands and shit that don't normally come to the US. That's kind of always the big draw, but Evoken being an American band still not playing live very often, it's still a great opportunity to go see them. Finally, I've been a big fan for quite some time. Looking forward to a new record as well. But yeah, big draw for me, as well as there's so much, coming up at MDF. Havakarunu, cannot wait to see. There's a whole bunch of great Death Doom stuff happening as well, like Mournful Congregation, Shape of Despair, Dusk. A lot of good thrash bands, just a killer lineup this year at MDF. But in terms of like live shows, this year, I wasn't thinking I was going to be able to make it, just because it's quite pricey to make it happen. But goddamn, it's so worth it if you can. So that's kind of what I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully making happen this year.
Nice,
man. Havakarunu at MDF.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yep.
Oh my god,
all those funeral doom bands you were mentioning sounded. Yeah, that's.
Well, that's the cool thing about MDF is
place you can find all that.
Yeah, they pull like when they as far as like the subgenres around death metal, they pull like all the black metal bands they pull are always really good. I think this year I forgot like some of the other ones, but I thought Norjavel was going to be there. I don't think they're going to be there now.
Yeah, they canceled all shows recently.
There was a couple of other ones.
The band dissolved. I think it's kind of what happened.
But yeah, there's one night. I think it's Thursday night when it's all those Death Doom bands. That'll be really cool if I can get to go. So
nice. Well, for me, there is one reunion that was announced late last year that I am crossing my fingers that they announce more shows. So far, they've only announced 2. And this is Locals, Acid Bath.
Oh yeah,
I had to highlight these guys. So far, they're just playing some fucking rock festival or 2 different rock festivals. And come on, guys, you got to play a hometown gig. There's a venue nearby here called the Southport Music Hall, where so far that seems like that's the hometown gig for all these bands. Like I've seen Down there, Crowbar, Soylent Green, and I'm hoping to see I Hate God in February. So
Damn.
I feel like Acid Bath could do that around the summertime, like in between the shows or to prepare for the shows that they're doing. But I would absolutely love to see this band. That would be a supreme bucket list event right there.
Yeah, if that happens, Logan, I'll probably come down for that. I mean, because
I got you.
I mean, I saw one of their last shows when I was still living down there, right after Audie died, and they had a new bass player, and it was looking like they were going to continue, and they did a couple shows, and then I think they did. I don't think it was their last show, but it was one of their last shows for sure. Yeah, I love that band, and I hope they do more than just a few festivals they're doing, because they're not going to do a new record for sure. So they should celebrate, their legacy by, performing some more.
Yep, I agree. So here's hoping.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the baby.
One of them.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll definitely jump on your deep dive, man. That's going to be an amazing night. Skepticism too. That's right. Tyler, I know that you don't get a lot of shows your way, but
no. And honestly, man,
I'm hoping that Fire in the Mountains would be a draw, but unfortunately, no.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, I can't justify that cost just to see Wardruna and Old Man's Child. All the other performers on there, I have no interest in seeing. I don't know if you saw recently they announced that Ivar Bjornsson, he's going to be doing a solo thing. So I was like, oh, that's cool, but it's I don't know. But now, I'm going to be changing jobs soon, so I'm not going to be a bottom rung employee, but I'm going to be bottom rung in the company kind of thing. And I'm not going to be able to, I don't think I'm going to be able to start a job and then a month in be like, hey, I'm going to go travel for a while. Deuces. So basically my little note that I put on for this question is I'm in Alaska. I have no hope. I mean, I have a chance to see Five Finger Death Punch in August. And actually, honestly, I could see that for free because
they should pay you.
Yeah. But the guy, so one of my bandmates, he's running all the concession in where they're going to be playing at. So I could get a hookup if I really wanted to go see it, but I don't really want to go see that at all. Although that would be the heaviest fucking thing, quote unquote, heavy quotation marks, people, heavy quotation marks. That'd be the heaviest thing that had come up here in quite some time. But yeah, like I said, I had some thoughts of getting out later this summer to do something, but that might be a little harder starting this new job soon. Just because of, I guess the
yeah, I mean, you gotta wait for PTO to build up, and
well, I'm gonna have PTO right. I'm gonna have PTO right from the rip, but like I said, it just because I don't have anything planned. Now, if I had something planned when I did the interviews, I could be like, "Hey, I already have this trip planned, just by the way," but I didn't jump on anything as of yet. So now I'm a little kind of shot myself in the foot in that regard. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get out of state at all this year or not. I want to, but we'll see. We got to do a fucking hiking metal meetup somewhere.
Yeah, that's going to happen for sure. I mean, we originally planned on doing it for Fire in the Mountains, but considering Obviously the lineup would have to be something everybody wanted to do, but it's in northern Montana, man. It's a commitment. I'd love to go, but it's just like, even from where I'm at, that's a 2-day drive. So 4 days driving, plus you want to definitely go spend some time in Glacier since you're there. That's a week and a half easy, and it's just a lot to commit to for something that, like, honestly, for me, like most of the bands, like, it's a good lineup for sure. I mean, there's a lot of bands I really like. I mean, I'd love to see Old Man Child and, Majesties but
Majesties was the other one I wanted to see. But
like, a lot of other stuff like is already, you can usually see pretty easily in the States down here, like Wardruna and Blood Incantation and, Converge. I love Converge, but I've seen them, so it's kind of like, want it to be like something, hopefully next year they're able to draw some more obscure or, stuff, from Europe that you wouldn't normally get to see. That's kind of the hope with it. But yeah,
I do think that I honestly do think that Fire in the Mountains for this year, because it's the first time they got it up and running again. I think they're kind of playing it safe. Is really what it seems like. Like, they're minding their P's and Q's, which I don't blame them. Like, I mean, it's quite the investment, and it's quite the, undertaking to put on an event like that. But the bands they're choosing, the artists they're choosing, it seems like they're very kind of, I mean, it's weird to say Converge being a safe pick, but like, it feels like they picked a lot of bands that are kind of safe picks that they knew people would be excited to go see. But I'm not paying that kind of price to, like I said, see maybe like 3 bands. And then, well, it's not just the camping costs. It's like there's a parking cost, there's the camping cost, there's the cost to get into the event. Like, I mean, it was like, it added up pretty quick.
It does. Yeah.
And I'm sure. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. It's a little weird, but I mean, I'm sure it'll be awesome. I'm sure it'll be amazing if you're there. I mean, they did a great job the last one I went to. It's absolutely killer. But yeah, it's just it comes down to a matter of logistics and money and stuff. For more bang for my buck, personally, MDF kind of makes more sense because there's just so much more shit there that I would not normally get to see that I want to go, check out if I'm going to spend the money to actually, fly or, spend just like you said, all the accommodations and everything. So.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I started looking at the packages for Fire in the Mountains. I was like, holy shit. I mean, just basic tickets to get into the event, like you're staying off site somewhere and coming in and out. I mean, that was like $300 just for that. I was like, holy fuck, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, more. It was more than that, but still.
All right. Well, in closing, tell your viewers about 2 new YouTube channels you discovered in 2024. Just shout out 2 channels you enjoy. Yeah, this is kind of a hard one for me. I mean, like like all the channels I watch are all of us guys and you guys and Metallurgy and the Sattersley crew. It's just I haven't really come across any new, at least in the metal sphere, new channels that I've like discovered. I think there's one guy, I just can't think of his name. He pops on Sattersley every now and then. He's a young guy. He's only done a few videos. I should have been prepared for this.
Is it Eric?
Eric, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, that's one that comes to mind. He's a cool dude. He's kind of a young guy, but he just likes a lot of cool stuff and seems to be sort of ahead of his time in terms of his taste. So yeah, he's really great. But yeah, you guys, man, I mean, like I would rather just say shout out to the community in general, dude. Metallurgy, my hiking bros, Tyler and Ryan and Russ and great to have you on, Logan. Great to see you on Metallurgy now and doing your thing, getting better and getting growing. And Rick and just all those guys, man. I mean, it's hard to, just isolate like two people. I mean, I could easily like come up with like two like channels I watch on YouTube that's new that isn't, part of this whole question. So I don't want to do that, because it really doesn't. This whole metal tag is about the community and about all of us and about so I hope that there's new guys coming on, and I'm sure there are that I just haven't seen yet, and whoever that is, if if they see this or they're watching, keep going, and reach out to all of us guys, and it's a great community. It's a great group of people that all do their own things and their own nice little flavors, and I just love that. So yeah, shout out to everybody,
Yeah. Well said, Jimmy. I mean, absolutely cool to be a part of, or to even just watch this little niche of corner of the metal YouTuberverse kind of just grow and continue to have new and exciting people making new and exciting content. So it's, I basically echo that. I do have two I want to mention real quick. Hate Meditations is a channel that I found a couple months ago. He's more of a like he will write like more thought out videos talking about like band discographies or more in-depth analysis of like gatekeeping in metal or how we listen to music, what he likes out of metal. But then he'll also even dive into some of these like touchier subjects, like what is metal politically, like what is there a political agenda for metal, and he does it in a way that doesn't sound overtly preachy and is actually kind of interesting to listen to. And it's kind of more like you'll present the ideas and then you can take with it what you will. And it's just been cool, like more thoughtful content. And then content that's a bit more like just what you would expect. Just another heavy metal maniac is absolutely straight up like collection updates, band rankings, in the year list stuff. So the usual, but he's relatively new. I think only been doing it a couple months, and it's been cool to watch him. So those are my two.
That last one sounds cool. That sounds like something I'd get on board with.
Yeah.
You said just another heavy metal maniac?
Yeah, I'll put them both in the chat.
Perfect. Well, I kind of have similar sentiments. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of new channels as far as like this community goes that I got on with for 2024. Like their channels I was already subscribed to, like your guys' channels, Metallurgy, the Thralls of Metal, Nick and those guys, Gas Masks, of course. And like I actually got to sit in on a stream with Brian over at his Damaged Incorporated channel. Like did a thing with him and Metal Band, like just sat in with him for a little bit. So that was new. I guess those are a couple new ones for me, like guys that interacted with. But mainly the only real new channels I got into big this year are a couple of hiking channels, actually. So, I watch a lot of hiking videos.
Me too.
So, I mean, Jimmy knows. So, like, me and Ryan, the Ave Moors, like, we're always talking about the mediocre amateurs, and like that main dude, Danny, in that group, like, there's nothing mediocre or amateur about what they're doing. Like, they're pretty intense, hardcore dudes. But now the two hiking channels that I found that I actually really like the style of, one of them is called The Mountain Matt, like MATT. And he spends all the videos I've seen of him, he spends a lot of time like Wyoming, Colorado, Utah. Like he's kind of in that general region. And all of his videos are kind of short and sweet. And he's always doing kind of off trail scrambling stuff, which is kind of fun to watch. Nothing like real insane because he he's oftentimes bringing family with him. But if you guys are interested in seeing some real hardcore Alaska hiking looks like, there's another channel called Sterling Birch, and he lives down in the south central part of Alaska. And every hike he does, there's no trail. He's like, I'm gonna go climb this peak, and he's just like straight bushwhacking up shit like this, like to get to a mountaintop. And again, all his videos are like real short and sweet, like under 10 minutes, but he shows you a lot. So I'll put both of those in the chat. People are more interested in the hiking videos. But yeah, the Sterling Birch one is a fun one because he hits parts of Alaska that I'll probably never get to. So
for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's, that's like one of my big things too, is like, I probably watch more hiking channels than I do metal channels. But and it's kind of like one of the sort of the impetus for like what gives us, inspiration for doing our stuff, and things like that. So it's cool to like kind of bring that into a community that doesn't really watch that stuff and usually may not be interested in it, but like, if people like it and want to like see more, you want to see some amazing, like really just like, there are some hiking channels out there that are just like insane, and I usually, post a couple. I think I had put a few up one of the last streams we did, but yeah, I mean, echoing what Tyler said, I mean, if you're ever interested and you want to know more other channels, I mean, either of us would be happy to make some recommendations, in that arena. But yeah. All right, we did it. 3.5 hours. That's not bad. I think that's about what we did last year, Tyler. So I mean, probably compared to the year end, which can go on and on and on. So I didn't want to keep you guys. I know it's late for you, Logan. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm starting to fade over here. I appreciate you having me on though, man. It's been fun. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Yeah. You guys rock, man. Thank you all so much. Thanks to Marty for doing the metal tag questions and throwing it out there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So we'll check you guys soon. Thanks to my guests, and yeah, you guys rock. Thank you so much.
Dude, cheers.
Thanks, Jamie.
Y'all hang on for 1 sec.
All right.